leave it to the professionals.
Blessed by Bundy, blah, blah, blah.
Started off with a bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, yo, set it up.
Surfing on the web and I'm shooting at 3. I've been goated when I got my G. I'm an alien boy from a different planet, yeah. So I got my drink, I'm riding in the 1920s Model T Ford. Car era lore. Call me Levi, playing on the keys, boy. And I'm about to put my gloves on. If I said it, then I meant that. Yeah, I like that one, I'm about to get that. Crash that whip for the drumsticks, whiplash. I'm about to get them all. Are you with that? In a white boat, surrounded by blue. I want one, but I got a cop too. I wanna fly high in the sky, arms out wide, trying to soar from a bird's eye view. I'm on fire, Ricky, Bobby, cracking the pavement, Whitney, Bobby. I'm a Saki bomb, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Bruce Wayne been a dog, and I keep it 101, cause I'm feeling kinda spotty. You sipping on some rock, and I'm sipping on octane. The only thing around my neck is the
Started off with a
blockchain.
bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
NFT, Twitter, blockchain. Seeing with the ghosts and we ballin' like LeBron James. Crypto. We can make a trade, get the memo. The field's not falling for the FOMO. Listening to Coffee with Captain. You know we worldwide, they loco. I ain't never gonna stop rapping. Orlando, yeah, we working magic. We rocking Ethereum NFTs. I just went and caught me a half base. Man, I got a shout out to
Started off with a bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
Breaking the mood to choose one, but they got knowledge to move, son. I'm shocking in shades with my brother in suits. Yeah, them blues is coming. Even though it's hard to pick, eeny, miny, mo, soda on the mix, no biting lips, it's time to go. Index number 1, no thumbs up, you gotta scroll. Looking at the ghost in studio, it's time to go. I had a helmet on by myself until I met a mask that wanted to have a face off. So I had to bring my chainsaw, full tank of gas in the drive with my brakes off. I'm A1, but a different kind of steak sauce.
GM, welcome to Coffee with Captain. I'm Cap. Happy Thursday, everyone. Welcome back. Actually, I was here yesterday. Just long. I'm still asleep. I didn't get back till 11:30, 12. So way past my bedtime for those of you that are regulars here. Might be a little raspy this morning. Might stumble across my words. Definitely will mispronounce something, and we will not be having the perfect show for episode 1230, maybe 1231. Tomorrow's a Friday. Coffee with Captain always helps for a good show. We also do have a Doma on air at 2:00 today. Shorter show, but good guest. Looking forward to that. And we actually had someone do a full board takeover. Did it in the future. And so it's booked for a week from today, actually. Big shout out to that. We'll be talking, we'll be bringing them on and talking briefly there. In the meantime, you can pick up a board spot for $10. $10. You could actually, it's down to the price of a coffee once again. Still today reflecting our friends over at Genuine Undead who took over the board last week. But yeah, if you haven't seen Buy Cap Coffee yet, the stream board, you can buy any of these outside spots for $10. The middle spot's still 100. We're gonna increase that to 420. I thought we could do the building in public behind the scenes. I thought we could do the full board takeover where they got 10-15 minutes on the show at a different price, but I can't do the scheduled full takeover, so any different than what the board adds up to. So that said, this is going up to 420 tomorrow. Last chance, I guess you can take it over for $108 today if you'd like. Starting tomorrow, it goes up to 420, and the outside spots are going to remain $10 for now. To be determined. We might make some changes, but as always, I'm Cap. We're live on X Audio, X Video, YouTube, and Abstract. All those links are pinned up top. Actually, they're not. I'm kidding. Told you not a perfect show. They're pinned up top now. And if you'd like to help us get warmed up, it's a Thursday, so you know what that means. It really, like, the love on the show, in particular the spaces, it always means the world to me. It's greatly appreciated. It does not go unnoticed. But on Thursdays, you get bonus points. It's extra appreciated on Thursdays. Both now, and I'm going to ask you again around 8:59. The biggest way to boost it, though, is just hit the copy button. So yeah, the likes, the reposts, the bookmarks. Actually, no more bookmarks. Likes, repost, comments, and copies. Like, repost, comment, and copy. Copy the link to the show. You don't have to share it anywhere. Just hit the up arrow, hit copy link, and that is the biggest amplifier on X, the Everything app, as of today. Moved my daughter in successfully yesterday, and was not expecting, while I was moving her into college, that we would get the opposite of 10-10. 10-10 sent us to, I said yesterday, 10-10 sent us to Hades, and 8-19 sends us to Valhalla. We are all the way back. Big news. It's not just some random pump. Big news coming out of DC. Continuation of what we were talking about yesterday with Gabe and in these SEC rules. There was a crypto summit yesterday. Vlad from Robinhood Chain was there, and like him or not, the largest KOL on the planet said hyperliquid, and the price skyrocketed to an all-time high, north of 70. I'll have to check this morning. Everything is pumping. Pingu's pumping. I noticed I logged into Abstract this morning that Pingu is pumping. Retspa's up. That's a real low market cap for you gamblers out there. And yeah, things are ripping across the board. Stockbrokers aren't pumping this morning if you look at the floor price, but I guess there's some people that were upset about a third-party meme coin launch that only went up to $2 million, or I think it's like 1.25 now, and only did about 8 million in volume. I don't know. I honestly, truly don't know if some of these people are fudding, if they're engagement farming, or they just don't really understand the ecosystem. Because I know this one was a little more hype. That's why it's over $1 million. But it's one of their features in the ecosystem is a launch pad, and a meme coin launched last night in the middle of the night. And already this morning, I wake up to like an extra 0.15 ETH in my broker wallets. Seemed pretty cool. StonkBrokers is the #1 revenue generator on Robinhood Chain in the last 24 hours, where the CEO was just, featured at a crypto summit in DC. That seems pretty cool. So there was comments, some people might have made a bot for this launch. That's kind of, each their own. I do not think that's how to play this ecosystem. And I'd said previously, I think the Cirruses and Franklin during his prime would be crushing this ecosystem, but it's not like buying the NFT so you get the next airdrop. Yes, are stockbrokers getting some clock-in token airdrop? Yes, I believe so. Maybe that was changed. I don't know. But it was like a nothing burger to me. I wasn't excited about clock-in and I'm going to get a big airdrop, but rather, oh, cool, another launch and more revenue. The stockbrokers ecosystem is a long play. It's like people wouldn't be freaking out if a pump fund meme coin launched and went to 1.3 million. It'd be in the top 1% of launches there. Anyways, I digress, but it's for those that are looking at the ecosystem, I do think and this is where, again, back to where people, the likes of Cirrus would be crushing it, is because it's so thin both directions. Yesterday, while ETH was ripping up, stockbrokers floor ripped up back to 7.5 ETH. And then there was a launch last night, and it's pulled down now to, let me check, I don't want to give them wrong numbers, following the clock-in launch, which, a lot of people who aren't in the ecosystem or didn't buy, were fudding it or taking a victory lap, say it got sniped. Well, and I will say maybe safe launch or isn't the right, maybe anti-snipe, maybe that's not the best name, maybe it's not the correct verbiage, because I think a lot of people are misunderstanding what it is. It doesn't prevent snipers. It's heavily taxed. And so when those snipers, when 7 wallets come in and snipe it, it leads to a ton of fees, which go into the ecosystem, which then go to marketing rewards for holders. And so it's working kind of maybe not exactly as planned, and they'll make adjustments, make tweaks, but I don't know, it's doing the thing. And because liquidity is so thin, like 20% swings are going to be the norm for a while in this ecosystem, especially if people are moving around activations because they're shipping so frequently. And it's like the sell-off was 4 sales overnight, literally 4 sales. It's not like hundreds of people are dropping. It's not like cascading liquidations. It's bids are thin. 4 people accepted a WETH offer. And then people start seeing that and the WETH offers drop and they start, there's a few people who undercut floors and it's pulled down. Someone hit on a 4.3 WETHed bid overnight. Just like yesterday, someone hit on a, look at the sales. Like, I guess I'll say this. If you are, because I know at least a couple people are looking at entries. Please don't go buy one for the ETH price listed on OpenSea. That doesn't make any sense right now, unless you've got to have that's your forever StonkBroker, which teach their own. Make WETH bids or go snipe one from the anvil. Like, it doesn't make any sense to buy one off the floor when you can go pick one out of the anvil that's got more liquidity, or just make a WETH bid. Because you'll see, like yesterday, I'm not saying the same thing happens, but you've got 6.9 ETH sale, and then someone accepts a WETH bid, again, thin, so a 5.5 WETH sale, and then the floor bounces back up. It says I'm lost audio. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you, no problem.
So again, 6.9. Oh shoot, I'm not even sharing the screen. That's maybe why we got an issue. Okay, so 6.9. Someone accepts a 5.52 WETH bid, 6.9 sale, 7 sale, 7.4 sale. Imagine being this person sandwiched in the middle, instead of just listing your NFT at the floor, accepting the lowest bid. But my point is, on the buyer side, on the opportunity side, like a Franklin would have had WETH bids last night. Sirius would have had WETH bids yesterday. They hit on the 5.5 and they released it for 7, and they make a 1 ETH profit or 1.5 ETH profit in hours. And then you can see, like, it's not like people were rushing. 4 people, literally 4 sales, but liquidity bids are thin. There's no incentivized bidding. And because of the nature of this ecosystem, like a savvy buyer, someone that's really looking to enter, they're not going to be putting bids near the floor because they would just go buy it from the anvil. It doesn't make any sense to put it. It makes no sense. Like, and now maybe someone's like, okay, it's 4.4. I'll make one at 4.5, 4.6. But it would be silly to go put a WETH bid if the WETH bids go up. It would be silly to put a WETH bid at 5.4. Just go buy one in the anvil and pick one that's got some extra NFTs in it. Anyways, I think it is a complex ecosystem. I think it is working as intended, and a lot of, will there ever be more StonkBrokers? There's going to be interns. Simple Farmer shared this one the other day, and it kind of like flew over because it took me, I don't think I really fully grasped what he said until after the show. I need to go get a clip today, because yes, not more StonkBrokers. There will be more interns. However, it's not going to be like mints we've seen in the past. So there will be interns, which might get like 5% of the rewards that a StonkBroker gets, maybe 10%. And we don't know the exact mechanics, but how it was described was, Drew, love to get you in here, especially if we've got something we need to keep our eyes on the day. Sorry, I don't think there's a recent version of X, but do throw in a request. We'll get you back in here. But how the interns are going to work is the existing holders are essentially going to be the ones to sell those interns, some sort of fractionalizing their StonkBrokers to create a lower entry point for others, but instead of, another just paid mint that goes to the dev, the StonkBrokers will be the ones somehow or another minting those interns. Mayhem says, yes, StonkBrokers are going to have interns they can hire as the next level to the collection without dilution. I think it's going to be novel new mechanics. Again, one of the other things that gets me excited. Let's do this. Machiavelli, before you say anything, I need you to check your DMs. I need you to DM me your ETH wallet. Otherwise, I've got to give your allow less spot for rec traders.
Oh, I'm doing it now. I'm doing it now.
You got first come, first serve as a birthday gift yesterday. Shoot me that, because I got to get that over this morning. You're the last one on the list. So shoot me your EVM address and we'll get you in there. And then we're going to get a Drew to make sure we didn't, we're good on the security front. And then we'll go Machiavelli, then Mike. Drew, thanks for the comments on my delegate.cash thread the other day or post the other day. Pat myself on the back. Collectively, between yourself and Bo and Quit, we got Fubar to update delegate.cash. I don't know the last time the front end of the site was, it just works. It's just, it doesn't need constant updating, but, and it was already supporting Robinhood chain, but you had to do it at the contract level. And made a post yesterday asking, is it good? Because I noticed, is it still safe? Is there anything to be concerned about when it comes to delegate.cash? Because AI, right? Like there's a lot more exploits and I guess shots on goal from the scammers today, because they've got more tools at their disposal than ever before. And I just want to make sure, hey, are we safe? Are we still good? And then all by the way, does it support Robinhood chain? Because I couldn't get it to work. And it does. It just wasn't on the front end. But long story short, Fubar updated the front end of the website. So Drew, thank you for the support on that. GM, sir, take it whichever direction you'd like.
Yeah, GM. Yeah, no, glad we were able to get that. Yeah, I don't know where you want to take this, but yeah, on the StonkBroker, the clock-in token launch, I obviously am not staying up for anything in my life. I prioritize sleep, but hopped on the timeline, saw everyone crying and all this kind of stuff. So I picked like 4 random posts about people saying that it was a scam, it got sniped, all this kind of stuff. All 4 randomly picked. They all bought into scam tokens. Like they literally all got into the non-legit token. And then there's 2 posts where they did after that got into the real token, and they didn't understand the tax. And they said that their script that they made, meaning that they can't get an edge on normal people to dump on their heads, didn't work because they don't know how to make a script. And they had to buy in manually. And then they're upset.
Wait, so explain this again.
And then at the end of it, they say the space has to mature.
Explain this again.
So which part?
They not only did this was snipers attempted to snipe. They sniped the wrong tokens first.
The wrong one. There's like hundreds of scam clock-in tokens. Hundreds, right? Clutch Markets or Simple Farmer, whoever put a blue check on the real one, and people were trying to snipe before the blue check and the contract went live, because they just typically scan for like clock in, liquidity, blah blah blah. They all bought into scam tokens, and now they're upset, and now they're fighting on the timeline.
So, because she says people were upset because people were able to snipe the launch.
Yes.
Which is true, but they paid. Well,
from what I've seen so far, and I just left because I was just looking at it, I see that people were able to snipe, but they were able to snipe paying the tax by design. So for the other people that didn't understand that there was a tax, they are looking at like, holy shit, my $100 is $40. I just got screwed. Not understanding that there was a tax to begin with.
Drew, my buddy bought in 0.1 Ethereum at the beginning. He wasn't paying attention, and he got 44 tokens for 0.1 Ethereum.
Yeah, it's like, people are now like, and these sort of people, right? I'm not saying who it is or like profiling anything. These are the people that are now coming over from Solana to Robinhood chain. They're using the exact same stuff that they've done on Solana, sniping and all that, all the stuff, right? Where they will literally buy into like a 5K market cap token and then sell it 50K market cap and they make like a little 2X or 3X, whatever, right? So like pure sniping, the advantage, it's bot, I call it BVB, it's bot versus bot, right? Whoever has a better script. And they're not understanding, the thing that is jumping into this ecosystem and they're not understanding that like, hey, these sort of mechanisms that, clutch markets or simple farm, and I agree with the name. I think the name needs to be tweaked. Is implementing actually kind of prevents that to a degree, right? Or, if you want to snipe, then you are assuming that the token has to 10x and beyond because you believe in it, and all the fees that are going to be recouped go to the token / the community. So it's like the whole entire timeline is just
And do you think, like, what is your read on the timeline? Is it just FUD? Is it people who are just haters, or do they genuinely just don't understand? It's probably a mix of both, I'm guessing.
Well, so I would say it's like 60% FUD and haters. Like people like, damn, I don't have an edge. I can't go and beat the normal community. Now everyone has a level playing ground. And then like 30% is kind of legit. I mean, this is where I think. Even in Simple Farmer's tweet, and again, positive instruction, positive criticism. If a person has to launch a token the way that you describe it in a perfect scenario, it's not purpose built for everyone, right? So like, even in his tweet this morning, like there's tweaks he's going to make, there's things that he needs to adjust, and that's the whole purpose. I think, at least in his mindset or what I've heard him talk, is why he's doing special projects to go ahead and work out all these tweaks and go ahead and do all these sort of things, but. It's just, I don't know. This space cracks me up, and it's the same 100 people yelling back and forth at the same 100 people because someone just didn't have an edge over the other, and it's the same money flowing back and forth.
Yeah, some are exactly that don't have an edge. Snipers sniping and getting wrecked, which is working as intended. I do think. I think we need to help. And he's not asking for this. It's unsolicited. I'm saying let's help come up with a better name, because anti-snipe or safe launch almost implies that, snipers can't snipe. Well, they can. They're just going to pay exorbitant tax, which is going to then be funneled back into the ecosystem, which is a good thing. And eventually, you would think these snipers that are, to your point, coming in from Solana, doing things the way they've always done it, realizing it doesn't work that way now. Eventually, they're going to catch on and probably stop doing this. But that's kind of the, how it's built. It's working as designed. It's just there's people who snipers are getting wrecked and not mad about it, and then others, I don't know. I guess grave dancing on StonkBrokers because the clock-in meme token, which is a third party, didn't rip up to tens of millions of dollars instantly.
Well, that's the other part of this too, is like, they're not going to stop doing it. Like a lot of people will go ahead and pay that. Like, I think even someone was saying that if you get in at a 90 to 93% tax and it is below a 50K market cap, contingent that everything else continues to run above 3 mil, you'll be break even at 3 mil. So if you actually believe in the token, then it's all upside from there. So it's just a matter of them actually understanding or readjusting like the math, the script, etc., because people will continue to do it. But I think the really sad part about all this for me in particular is how people just read something on the timeline, believe it, and then that actually does affect the floor, that actually does affect the collection. Like it took maybe 3 seconds, and I'm not doing anything crazy, to literally take the wallet address someone posted, paste it in, and the freaking block scout for Robinhood sucks. There's another one though. I can't remember what it's called. And just look at it, and then you're just like, holy shit, like that's not real.
Yeah. And then to your point, every time, and what I hope doesn't happen is some people who are actually in the ecosystem get shaken out by misinformation or FUD from people who aren't in, or because it is going to affect the floor price anytime that and that's where back to, I think some people with deep liquidity, deep dry powder could really crush it here, because it is so volatile and it doesn't take much. Like, it not only is a small collection, over 2,000 of them are activated. And yeah, it's like soft staking. They can be unactivated at any time, but because the price of the token is up, it's like it's a pretty big cost to think about reactivating a broker. So you got, a very small percentage of the collection is actually, and 800 can never be removed, over 800. So you got a very small collection that's even potentially on the market, few listings, thin WETH bids. So the floor is super thin, a few sales on positive news, whether real or just positive sentiment on the timeline, can send it up 20%. And at the same time, some less than positive news, some FUD, you get quite literally like 2-3 people capitulating or accepting a WETH bid, and now you're gonna have others who are like on the fence. Oh, is it going to zero? Well, it's like, yeah, if you think they stop shipping and there's no more launches ever, then yeah, you should probably take your profits. But it's like, I don't know. I was going to make a comparison to Hyperliquid, but I'm not going to go there because that'll also upset some people. Machiavelli, I got your EVM address that has been sent off, and yeah, the cost to launch a token on Safe Launcher. Drop what you think would be a better name. Not only like Safe Launcher, but also like it's not really anti-snipe. It's so what's a better way to call it? Like snipers can still snipe. They're just instead of them winning, it's the ecosystem that wins. Reverse snipe. That's not it either. But yeah, give us some ideas. Let us know what you think it should be called. Hit the copy button on the space while you're down there. And yes, Rec Traders going live tomorrow. Congrats to everyone who hit that. That's the allow list I was talking about. Congrats to everyone who hit that on the Wheel of Spin yesterday. And then Entropy, I think I'm pronouncing this right. I don't know. We actually were going to have the founder on, but he just moving towards Mint wasn't able to do so. And but we did get a few of those allow lists as well. That mints today at noon maybe. And then I think I saw Blockies is also minting today, maybe. It's like been in pre-sale. I'm not exactly sure the specifics and timing on that, but I'll try to do some digging. I'm mad because I looked earlier and Quantrons was down again, and I won in that collection. I won in that ecosystem. It's back up another 50% on the day. And but bearing the lead here, I do want to get to hands. We'll go around the horn. Mike, you were up next, I believe, and then Machiavelli, and then Justin. We will do a market update because there's a lot to talk about. Holy moly. The greatest, just as 1010 was the biggest liquidation in history for longs, 819 was the biggest liquidation of shorts in history. Pretty big deal. Simple Launcher might actually be it, Jay. You might have nailed it. That might be it. Snipe Tax. Yeah, that sounds better than anti-snipe. You guys, I'm not kidding. I'm going to send all these over to Simple Farmer, and we'll see if we'll see what he thinks, because Snipe Tax, Benny, I think that makes more sense than anti-snipe, because it's anti. Yeah. I like Snipe Tax. That's good. NFT says, this is bullish. People care enough to FUD. That's exactly what I said to Diego, who says, hola, no, you're not late, Diego. Diego this morning, he in the war room said he hates seeing the FUD on the timeline. I hate seeing people like doing the grave dancing. I'm looking for his exact quote, but the war is popping off, so I had to scroll a little ways back. He said, well, I'm going to stop looking for it. TLDR, he basically said, I hate to see the grave dancing. And I'm like, he says, I hate the people dunking on StonkBrokers on the feed, and I'm not even a holder, by the way. They engagement farm like gods, praising and dunking. And I'm like, actually, I don't mind it. It's like rent-free. Just as apes continue to live rent-free in many heads, would be worse if people stop talking about it. It's almost impossible for a good project in this space to not get FUD, especially if they're shipping frequently. Because it's like when you do an activation, when you ship something in this space, it's like an attack vector. It's like you're exposing yours. And I like not just saying this. I think this is part of the reason. Probably no one ever admits this, but I think this is part of the reason that a lot of the legacy brands stopped shipping at the frequency and cadence they were in 21, 22. Stopped experimenting at the cadence they were early on, is because during the depths of a bear, it wasn't just a few people. because they were larger, they had more people in the community, more more people that like to FUD and engagement farm. Everything would get dunked on for the leading brands, and price wouldn't go up. And then so it's like kind of like it just creates this vicious spiral, unfortunately downtrend. And so I think a lot of them is like, hey, we can't win. No matter what we do here, we're never going to make everyone happy. We're just going to get beat up every time we ship something. And yeah, it's like you almost have to embrace the suck. You just like if you're building in this space, and you're going to ship at any frequent velocity, you just got to realize that you're going to get dunked on, because people are going to like, I don't know, like what. And I'm not saying this like to be cheeky, but like, what did we expect? It was because they called it a theme coin instead of a meme coin, it was going to go to 100 million in the first few hours. Like I don't. I really don't know what was expected from. It could never be higher. Sure, like $5, $6, $7 million. Would people be more excited today? Maybe, but I don't know what we expected from like the launch pad standpoint. I think it did exactly as it's supposed to do. People just are misunderstanding it. It definitely beats on-chain apathy that we've been seeing the last 6 months. I wholeheartedly agree, and I much rather see people talking about trying to dunk on teams that are shipping and experimenting than just nothing to talk about. Absolute Zero says StonkBrokers and coin creators are winning. The tax is a risk. Like Drew said, you'll win if you hold a bit after it bonds. You'll still get a lot of tokens, but just taxed on the ETH side. I really like Simple Launcher as a name as well. Pay to snipe, that's another pay to play, pay to snipe. I think after the launcher comes out, just remove safe launch from the site. It's a feature. It is a feature, right? I think the safe launch will be the least used of the launchpad, is my guess. Sniper suppressor, simplify. Haters are going to hate for sure. Mike, GM, thoughts on this?
Good morning. Good morning. Yes. One reason I wanted to come up was to let Machiavelli know that I am awake. I actually woke up an hour early before my alarm went off, even after the 6.5 hour space last night. So I'm here.
Mike made me buy a 3 million market cap. I'm down.
Yeah, I want to apologize to everybody because I'm an optimist. No, it was fun. This was my first foray into trying to buy a meme coin at the beginning of the launch. You know, I'm not the degen that most people are, and so it's been an interesting experience. And then, you know, going to bed after buying, and then waking up to, you know, reading everything on the timeline and stuff and hearing what's going on, and I'm thinking the snipe thing does work, but they modified it to themselves, right? Because they can adjust it however they want to, and they just, after what, 5 minutes or something, they dropped it to 33%. So they didn't do the full snipe.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was 33 instead of 99. But I thought it started at 33 and then it goes down to.
Yeah, it was 33 and then it went down like every minute it went down 1%.
Yeah, but the other coins, you know, started at 99 and went down, and so it was interesting to see what happened, because everybody, you know, even in the space, right, everybody was just waiting for that 33 to hit, and as soon as it was going to hit, they were going to go. And I think didn't the bonding drop to like 750? They put it pretty low at 750 or something. So
the 750 is it regardless to bond. Just the difference is that usually it starts at 99 and then every minute it drops 1%, or it'll drop to that unless it bonds at 750. Right. But obviously with 33%, like the delta to just go all in to snipe everything immediately is massive, because honestly, once you get below 90% for anything below 750, the upside is definitely there.
Yeah. So it seemed like it was a combination of having a safe, you know, kind of a anti-snipe launch and a traditional meme coin launch, you know, kind of a combination, what it appeared. But again, I'm new to that, so completely new. But yeah, it's interesting for me to learn all this stuff, and you know, being an eternal optimist like I am, like we are, right? I look for the good in people, and I expect people to operate for the better of everyone and not just themselves. And that's why I'll never be a billionaire, and it's you know, but that's okay. it was fun and interesting for me.
Yeah, I am. Well, first of all, I wish I had some sad music to play. Actually, I do. This is for. Is this it? Yeah, this is for Machiavelli. Sorry for your birthday coming to a crashing, a literal crash at the end of the night last night.
Listen, if the clocking team doesn't wake up, Cap, and actually clock the fuck in and send this thing to Valhalla, I don't know what's about to happen with this ecosystem. They need something. This is supposed to be a theme, and it's feeling really mean right now, Cap.
Yeah, theme coin experiment was short-lived. What wasn't short-lived, though, is the stockbroker ecosystem. #1 in the last 24 hours on Robinhood chain, 177,000 in revenue. They launched one token. I don't know how many Uniswap, how much transactions Uniswap did, or GMGN, or Pawns. Pawns a full-blown launchpad, like full-blown launchpad, already live, did 64,000 in revenue. StonkBrokers launchpad's not even live yet. Was a limited one launch last night, 177,000 in revenue. Quite bananas. Almost $500,000 in the last week. That would put them, I think, at 4th in revenue on the chain in the last week. But and this is not. I do not believe this is going to, this isn't necessarily sustainable. I don't think they're going to generate this much off every single launch, because people are going to finally understand we got some good names, by the way. You guys are all Sniper Suppressor, Simple Tax. I like Simple Tax. I like this. I say lean into the simple name. I even though it's not, it's kind of complex. Complexify is probably more appropriate than simplify. But I like leaning into it. Also, yeah, Mayhem is kind of right here. I understand stockbrokers clock in, which they probably don't. If we're going to be really accurate here, I don't know. Most stockbrokers probably do not clock in. Is my. I've never been a stockbroker, but I'm guessing most don't clock in. They're probably salaried or commission based individuals, and clocking in kind of sucks. No offense. No offense to Zane and Dort, our clock-in crew. But yeah, clock-in kind of sucks. I'm quoting Mayhem here. Clocking in has always sucked. Token lived up to his name, in his opinion. Yeah, good take there. I kid. I'm just playing. It's just jokes. Just one for the bit. But love to see the revenue. It's not going to be that much on every single launch, but what I do think is sustainable is them continue to launch things. Not just the launch pad, but we're going to see more and more projects. Justin, GM, appreciate your patience. Thoughts on all this?
Yeah, hey man. Look, I'm on the West Coast, so whenever I get up early and see your space, I always try to pop in. And I actually just hopped up because something that NFT Drew said, really resonated. Actually, the few times that I've heard Drew speak on spaces, is such a great voice of reason. So wanted to give him a shout out. But the thing that he mentioned is the undue FUD and its effect on innocent bystanders, like collateral damage, and I think people need to be more sensitive to that. I wanted to go a step further, and I know this, and I'm probably not as tapped in, as all of you in NFT land and CT land, but this I know to be true, and I hope others agree. There are more important things in life than just pure profit or just money. And the reason I say that is unless there's evidence otherwise, All City on the Clockin team is probably one of the top 3 most ethical persons I've ever encountered involved in crypto and blockchain. And to see characters, and teams dragged through the mud is really, really, really bad. Not because of the coins going down, etc., but it's just a really bad thing to do to someone. It's and just understand the effects that and the ramifications that could have on that person's livelihood, in the future. And unless there's evidence otherwise, All City, I know, is a stand-up character, and I know, the Clockin team has been dragged through the mud through this. And one of the most ironic and backwards things that I've seen on the timeline since I woke up is there is literally someone who is publicly complaining about not having insider info to then trade on that insider info. So publicly complaining about not committing insider trading, which is illegal regardless of what any new laws come into place, and then ascribing that that missed opportunity for insider trading onto a team who didn't provide that insider info. Like, how is this even like? Is this a story straight out of The Onion? Like, how is this even being considered as something that people are taking seriously? And I say all that to say, again, like, without evidence otherwise, like, just like it was, I think, almost evil that like the Bored Ape founders were dragged through the mud at a time when they should have been celebrating because of some 4chan conspiracies. I hope we don't like kind of go down that path again, whether as small as an example or medium, or even as large as that example where it actually went into litigation. Anyways, I know all that might go on deaf ears because like this is a very financialized space, but I don't know. To me, like whenever I like see like bullying, especially without evidence, and look, if there's evidence that can actually be shown, I'll obviously retrace. But that's like why it's important.
Yeah, we did have a correction though from the chat. They said insider trading was illegal. It's now only illegal without a presidential subscription. It's a joke, people. This is not even it's not a political comment. It's just a joke. Blame Mayhem if you didn't find it funny. I do wonder if those who, if you missed it yesterday when you said it, there was one of the guys who was in the press conference right behind the president. He definitely had a huge smirk on his face, like he just opened up 100x long on Hyperliquid right before the presentation or the conversation. Mike, go ahead and respond, get back in here. And I got some other interesting data and stats from Dobbins in the chat. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I wanted to add on to that too. And this whole thing is like it's development in progress. And Simple Farmer posted something about an hour ago that he's going to be adding more optionality for the launch settings, including, like putting a classic bonding curve trading after the snipe tax ends, giving people more options with their coins that they're going to launch. The one thing that I would like to see more of, and because I'm on your side with this and Steve's side with this, because I'm a communications guy, and I would like to have seen more communication during that 4-hour window. Just even if it's like, instead of reposting other tweets, like, hey, we're almost there, we're working on it, we're fixing this, we're doing whatever. Because it was kind of a running joke in the space last night. It's like, hey, somebody go ping All City and get him in here, tell him to stop working and talk to us instead, just because we were all just kind of craving for some information. That's all. So that's the only like little critique that I would have, I think, with how the process went. But it's all learning. And as we go through these brand new launches and everything, Simple Farmer keeps getting more data and making adjustments. So I think it's a net positive, no matter what happens.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I'll pull up Simple Farmer's post. I did pin a few of those up top. I'll go to Drew here, and then I'll show one on the screen that was most recent. But and I know some of you probably don't believe me, but I really do enjoy the experimentation. Like this last night was new. I didn't realize until it was shared this morning that the 33% was set by the team. I guess Simple Farmer I'm reading. I don't know this to be 100% true, but I assumed that the 99% was coded in. Dobbin says the team didn't follow Simple Farmer's instruction for launching. Instead of the 99% tax, they reduced it to 33% tax. I don't know why, but they went against the 99% suggestion. Started with the 33%, and yeah, so it's an option. You can make it whatever you want, which is the beauty of it. But it's also a third party. It's like they try to experiment with 33%. Maybe the best answer is 70%.
There's not going to be very many launches where the community or the ecosystem is going to give the stockbrokers $1 million to be distributed amongst themselves for each token launch. Like I see it happened a couple of times, or maybe it happened that one time, and it happens a little bit each time. But you know, the trenches have stood back. They're going to wait until that tax goes away or it's lowered.
Yep. I truly, it was refreshing to see like this again. Did it go as everyone expected? No, probably not. Definitely not. Did it go as some expected? I don't know. Like I guess partially what I'm in shock is like what were we expecting? Like what was is it we just expected a higher number? Because I think like systematically the ecosystem worked, and it also, by the way, there was like 800 new holders of the token. So yes, the activated stockbrokers are the one getting marketing rewards, but how this thing, you know, this
I think they waited to launch, man. There was a hype with this clock-in token, and then with turn in the market right now, and then a little bit of clarity and stuff. Like attention shifts very, very fast here. So you either ride with it when it is, or you take the risk of what I think happened last night. And people had waited so long that I think that the attention kind of moved on. Do I still think that this coin has a chance? Absolutely. You know what I mean? The stockbroker ecosystem isn't going anywhere. Like it set a precedent on Robinhood, and it's really changed the face of the way that NFTs are being looked at and being operated right now. So I think we're just gonna have to let this thing play out. Let them cook. You know what I mean? And hopefully we go back to at least 0% return and not a loss.
Wait, I have a question, Cap and Mac. Ooh, that's a good name for a show, you guys. No, but I have a question. The about the experimentation, which I love that you said that, Cap. And again, can you fill me in? Was this there was something with the Yard token, right? That kind of the anti-snipe kind of like backfired there, and I thought like there was going to be an adjustment. Was this an attempt to adjust for whatever happened there?
Maybe so.
Can you give the quick TLDR what happened there?
I mean, similarly, albeit different, but snipers came in and bought a lot of that at 99% tax. I think part of the difference with Yard is because of how it was, the mechanics was it wasn't just a token launch. You had to get the Yard token to mint the NFT. And so part of the other dynamic there is when the snipers came in and sniped it when they did, it ended up I think the team planned to go to market at, I want to say like a $300,000 FTV, ended up opening much higher because of snipers. Therefore, it made the NFT a lot higher than many people were anticipating. So not exactly the same thing, but yeah, the sniper tax led to a lot of fees coming into the ecosystem. Snipers paid the price, but the kind of that downstream effect was there was a lot of people who truly like. I think it's a cool concept. I still would like to get a Yard NFT. I just when I saw it so high, I'm like, I'm not interested at buying that price. But at the end of the day, it's also then like, where does it settle? Like, is it, the market should course correct and find a, more of like a true bottom or true floor. I haven't checked. I actually don't even know where it's at now. But yeah, it's so different because it wasn't just a token. It was a token to mint the NFT, and the NFT is the core in that ecosystem. But yes, similar in the sense that the sniper said, we don't care about your snipe tax. We're gonna go snipe anyways. Go ahead, Drew. I can't hear Drew. Anyone else?
No. I want to mention too, though, that the clock in, right, becoming the mantra for stockbrokers and everything, and being the term that everybody uses for so long. I don't know how they could have been, let me say, successful. I mean, obviously it could have gone to 100 million market cap, right? But they had so much to live up to in launching this because of the buildup, because the entire community uses that term, right? It's become like the community coin. So I can understand how some people might be disappointed based on, all the hype leading up to it, because there was a lot of hype leading up to it. But again, it's a new system, and they did something different than other people did with the launch. And through that, there's more data and things get adjusted because he is building in real time. And I would hope that people could separate teams from the ecosystem itself, right? That they're independent teams that are building on top of it, and it's not just Simple Farmer doing all of this. All he can
The
do is
irony there
advise.
too, and the irony, Mike, is that I think and again, as far as team, I may like again until evidence otherwise showed. Like again, I think All City is a stand-up guy. As far as the whole ecosystem, the irony is that Simple Farmers trying to build something that people have the incentive to hold long, yet people are fighting that they have in 100x in 3 hours, like the exact opposite of what the ecosystem is trying to do. And then just to compare it to like a very healthy, mature kind of ecosystem, i.e., the stock market, Facebook like went down from its IPO price, like opening day. Everyone knows what Meta stock is now, right? SpaceX went down a few weeks, after, or maybe a week after IPO from its IPO price. Amazon took 10 years to like post profit, but those people that held on just based on holding on to Amazon, Meta, we'll see about SpaceX, became multi millionaires. These aren't like people that were VCs investing. These are just like public traders of the stock. And so anyways, there's just irony there that like we're literally talking less than two hands of hours, not like 10xing or 100xing.
Yeah, good. And also acknowledging very, very different from publicly traded companies, but Eddie bought the dip. I actually just very, very small. I need to move some more to the hot wallets, but I was not planning on it. But yeah, I don't know. The more we talk about it, could it go to zero from here? Yeah, sure. But I agree with you. I do think the team, their plans here, I don't think it was just for a short. Let's launch this thing and then we'll sail off into the sunset. Been around for a while. I think there's plans to do stuff with this. I think with this theme coin beyond just the token itself. And I don't know. It could go to zero from here. Maybe it does run up. What would the ceiling be? Where in short term, what's like could this 10x? Could it run to 10 million? I don't know, but I could see for entertainment purposes alone, I could see the floor pumping today. I have no idea if they've got any market makers or what's happening behind the scenes. But Dobbin says he was just expecting people to not be able to get 250K in profit in like 3 or 4 minutes and dump it on everyone. I understand people's frustrations. I think that's also part of it. Is like there's those that are going to be sniping, those that are going to be attempting to capitalize on some of these mints. They're the ones that are down bad, and therefore it's going to lead to some fun on the timeline. Not only will we get into the market at large here in a minute, we got to talk about Jack Butcher's mint because, man, I looked at it and I was like, okay, I'll probably go mint one of these, but didn't really pay attention. It was moving my daughter yesterday, and I was like, oh, it's not a rush because I've minted like every other Jack Butcher collection that was free or for $1 just because. And I assumed there would be thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of this one as well. Ends up being like 500. And the thing just, congratulations, Diego, and anyone else that got in KYC, because absolute cook. And it may not slow down. I mean, someone was comparing it to the other, like to masks and grifters, those other one-of-one collections by notable artists. And while very different here, supply similar, a little bit less. I would not be surprised to see KYC continue to run. I'm probably not a buyer at 0.22. I feel like I'm buying the rip, but I'm going to be keeping an eye on it. And if we get much of I guess looks like it maybe topped out at 0.45, which from $1 is pretty insane. It has pulled back. Congrats, Dort, as well. The comps to grifters is crazy. but who knows? Jack does mint a lot of stuff. And I think that's it. It's like, yes, it's a smaller collection compared to those others, but Jack just has so many collections out there. And I'm not fudding him. It's just, it's a complex ecosystem. There's a lot there. And but point being, on-chain activity is popping off. I'm not saying there's going to be a daily runner, but there are a lot of opportunities in this space to make money. And I know some people who didn't hit StonkBrokers are feeling a sort of way, and people who haven't caught a runner in a while are feeling a certain way. I don't think yesterday was a dead cat bounce. I don't think yesterday was a blip. I'm not saying it's raging bull, but I think we're heading towards a raging bull. And if we do get that raging bull kicking off in Q4, now's really the time to find positions. One that, not financial advice, I'm not an advisor, anything could happen, but I also think another one that is somehow flying under the radar despite everything happening this week, and I guess it's up 20% on the week, 15% on the day, so it's not completely not flying under the radar. But Reccoin, you've got it's very different, but similar in the sense that you've got founders who understand DeFi, they understand trading, they're deep in the space, they've relentlessly shipped for years, not caring what the market is doing, and they got a 10K collection minting tomorrow. They had this pro trader subscription, and Reccoin's hanging at a $33 million market cap. Again, it is up 15% on the day, 20% on the week, but the similarities here is you've got teams that are, I think, very sharp, proven to be successful in this space, and they're just going to continue to ship. And while it's very different, those are the teams that I want to get behind. Like I have one rec guy, and I have a few billion rec coin. I'm not a whale. I don't have a huge bag. So it's not like, do I have a financial interest? Oh, I also hold equity in rec drinks or rec brands. But it's like, I'm not expecting any windfall from that. It's more as like, these are teams I want to be close to. So when the next thing happens, I'm in position to capitalize on that cook. For instance, because I'm close to the rec team and I've been a fan and supported them for years, we got 3 guaranteed allow list and 15 first come, first serve for our community. Maybe it doesn't cook, but I'd rather have those shots than just fade these teams who just continue to experiment, continue to do new things. And speaking of the experimenters and continue to do new things, the man, the myth, the legend, Simple Farmer just joined us once again on stage. Appreciate you as always, sir. We were talking. I think you just jumped in, so maybe didn't catch all the conversation. I'm going to share, and I'm not just because you came up. I had it pulled up. I said it was going to be the next thing I shared, the post that you just sent out. So if you don't mind, I will briefly read this and then hand you the mic. First of all, congratulations on being the #1 revenue generator on Robinhood Chain in the last 24 hours. Pretty impressive, especially when you consider the others on this list have far more in flight in terms of full Launchpad being live. Uniswap been around for years. 177K in the last 24 hours is very impressive. But the post, for those of you that are listening to the podcast later or just on audio spaces, it is pinned up top if you want to read it for yourself. But I'll be brief here, and then we'll hand the mic to Simple Farmer. StonkBroker, with the only safe launch feature out here so far, is the #1 protocol by revenue on Robinhood Chain that matters. Today, I'll be adding more optionality for launch settings to token deployers, including classic bonding curve for trading after snipe tax ends, ability to set single-sided LP after snipe tax ends, dual bonding curve based on launch, ETH, StonkBroker, and stock tokens, and the ability to launch a token without tax at all, buffer only before launch. Also be making the warning for anti-snipe percentage even larger and brighter on our UX, and I'm opening up safe launch so that all trading applications can integrate. Previously, it was EOA only. Also be adding an option to bond into both up or Uniswap LPs for deployers. Remember, all launches through Safe Launch are not endorsed by Clutch Markets or StonkBrokers. These teams have the power to set their own launch parameters, including, as we talked about earlier, whether that tax 99% or 33% as it went out last night. That's set by the team, and depending on these parameters, token can be riskier. In his opinion, it has always been that strong launches should use a 99% anti-snipe deployment with a fair bonding market cap. As more teams use these tools, more data will be available, and we'll show this data in our analytics section so that teams can use this to serve as recommendations for successful and fair launches. The Broker Tools Explorer will also allow users to track any and all early buyers, bundlers, snipers to identify connected wallets across all safe deployments. Simple Farmer, I know you didn't ask for it, but I was soliciting alternate names because, anti-snipe, safe launch, while I understand the intent, it's anti-snipe doesn't prevent snipers. It just, they're going to pay a fee. They're going to pay that snipe fee. Some recommendations: snipe tax, simple launcher, sniper suppressor. I don't know how you snipe breaker, snipe taxer. I don't know how you feel about these. Again, with simple swap, asking when simple swap. The platform, the ecosystem, it worked as intended. No, under the parameters of the team set, the actual launchpad, the snipe tax did exactly as it was supposed to. And yes, there were some wallets that snipe, but they paid a huge tax, which led to 6 figures of fees for the protocol, right?
That, and yeah, the tokens that end up generating a lot of snipe fees, they have a lot of liquidity. So if you look at like Cardwall is supported by like 600K in ETH and StonkBroker, and it has like I think like a $2 million market cap, which is insane. That's like a 33% liquidity to market cap ratio. But I just wanted to make myself available for any questions. I think it's crazy that you can literally have the #1 generating protocol on a chain and still be met with FUD. But I guess that's part of the struggle, with the process, right? The crazy thing is we have like 2,500 people who have used the anti-snipe tool. Those are EOAs only. So this hasn't been opened to the trading apps like GMGN, FOMO, because I actually blocked them during the anti-snipe period. During the next deployment, that it will be open for them. And like you said, I do think a rename sounds cool. I'm down to hear opinions on a rename for the tool itself. I don't want to really put my name in it. I don't know.
Fair.
I feel like my name is already done too much, but it's tough. I understand people are frustrated with some things, but look, the more people that launch, the more data we'll have about what the best type of launch is. That's the point of it, right? We're experimenting and trying to figure out the best type of launches. In general, if something's a meme coin, if something's non-utility project, a non-DeFi project, be careful. It's crypto, guys, highly volatile. Everything, not financial advice, but yeah, Cap, I appreciate it. I tried to really get across everything in that post, and I think you read it well as well, in like the voice I was trying to get across.
Yeah, and the other thing, not to repeat myself, but I shared earlier is, I don't think you can ship a successful project in this space without being met with FUD. Some people are just purely going to do it for engagement farming. Some people, because this is new and different, truly just don't understand what it is. They're just they're just making shots or comments based on numbers. And someone said Diego's like, man, I hate to see people taking dunking or taking shots at StonkBrokers. And he's like, I'm not even in the ecosystem. Like, I don't mind it actually. I mean, I feel for Simple Farmer, but it's rent free. It's like just like apes live rent free in so many people's heads for the last 5 years. You got people that, like, not an exaggeration, I'm near certain there's some people who have no exposure to the ecosystem, have more like emotional and mental feelings about clock and launch and StonkBrokers ecosystem than the majority of the holders in the ecosystem. Like, it's just a launch by a third party, but when you're shipping at this cadence, when you're shipping new things, when you're experimenting at this cadence in crypto, it's like an attack vector. It's like each time you do something is an opportunity for others to take shots at you. And I also think this, like, that thesis is maybe part of the reason why some of these teams, legacy teams, slowed their cadence of experimentation and activations, because, like, man, we're never going to make everyone happy. And you're right. You're not going to make everyone happy. You just, please don't let it derail you, because I think that the real supporters are excited and not wavered by snipers getting taxed.
Oh, look,
And
definitely.
that kind
Oh,
of culture
go
is
ahead.
going to keep the most serious entrepreneurs far away. So that like FUD at all costs is just going to keep people who really want to build innovative stuff far away.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. And a lot of those super talented developers are in AI. I'm sure there's more talented developers than me in AI. And there's tons of them. And it's because they would rather be able to build products without, people insulting their mother or posting pictures of them like on X and stuff. Unfortunately, like I really, really don't care. As thick as skin gets on my end, I could get angry about it a little bit, but I usually forget things in like an hour. Especially after I eat good food or something. But Cap, the whole situation is people have to understand that it's all infrastructure, right? And it's permissionless infrastructure. Anybody's going to be able to launch, deploy, and use these things. You're going to have a lot of variation of how some things do and how some things don't do, essentially. This is one thing that I thought was cool. In the past week, StonkBrokers have now made over $1,100,000 from DeFi revenue. That's in a 7-day period, right? Usually for this type of revenue level, for these type of airdrops, teams have to invent either a new collection or a token drop or something. This is just from the use of the protocols itself. And this is a big deal because at that rate, an activated stockbroker is bringing in over $40,000 in a year. And so that means in holding this NFT for a year, you make more than it costs to buy it on the floor now, which for me is like the ultimate goal. That's actually a measure of success. If the people holding it within a reasonable amount of time are making their money back for marketing rewards, then we're doing something right.
Yeah. And it's also, I've seen some people like, oh, well, it's like comparisons. Yesterday, it was comparisons to, oh, this reminds me of Banana from CyberKongs, or I'm like, those Banana, ApeCoin, Pingu, those were one-time liquidity events that were effectively meme coins or a utility token. I know ApeCoin had the DAO and it's baked it, but that's not necessarily a positive per se. It was a lot of sell pressure for years coming out of that DAO. But those were my point being though is like ApeCoin and Pingu were a one-time liquidity event. They dropped a token and that was it. Banana was a slow drip, like a daily drip of Banana token, but there was no business, there was no revenues. It was just a fungible token that had no inherent value. And so when you saw and people made $250,000 on an ApeCoin airdrop per ape. You had people that when they're getting that daily drip of Banana at its peak, like, oh, they're quitting their day job because they were making 30 grand a month on Banana token. This is not like that. Is it sustainable to think there's going to be 6 figures of fees on every single launch? No, but I think what is sustainable is an ecosystem that keeps shipping, keeps building, and because there's a real business there, there's a real on-chain protocol, there's real tech that's clearly generating revenue. This concept, it is sustainable. It does have legs to continue on. Could it all stop? Yeah, if Simple Farmer keeps stop shipping and there's no other people launch an ecosystem, volume slows down. The fees go lower. But it's not like people aren't talking about making $250,000 or $30,000 a month. It's, I don't know, 1,000, 2,000. I think I'm a little over $2,000 in the first month on a couple brokers, and it's trending up to the point like as they've now been live. There's more volume, but it's like, even if it was 40K, like he said, like that's. We've seen that before in this space. The difference here is like it's not all at once, and it's not numbers that are like how is that like? I don't think anyone maybe people did expect Banana to continue to print 30K a month, but it's just very, very, very different when you're talking about simply a token that came out of another ecosystem compared to the ecosystem itself. It's like, I don't know, is Hyperliquid sustainable? Is Pump Fund sustainable? Because they're protocols, and as long as people keep using them, they're going to keep generating fees. Same thing here. This isn't just a token; it's a protocol. Capo, go ahead. You got a question for Simple Farmer?
Yeah, definitely. And just a few thoughts. I'll try to make it brief. So everybody knows the crypto space is very volatile. If Bitcoin can take a 60% go down 60%, what about NFTs, right? And so I think that, I think that the best thing that can happen is if somebody sells at 12 ETH, they buy back in right now. You know what I mean? Because that helps to bring it back up, But if nobody sold, then everybody's down, and then everybody's just crying and crap, But aside from that, I think one thing people are overlooking or not thinking about right now is the possibility for stockbroker token to be on Robinhood like Cash Cat. That would be freaking crazy. Now, for my question, I just have two questions. I'm trying to figure out why would anybody buy a token at 95% tax or 80% tax, 70% tax? Is it because they're trying to bank on the early price action, or is it just the bots are dumb? My second question is, I forgot.
What? Yeah, that's good. That's a good question. Simple Farmer, do you want? Why would someone buy a token at anywhere from 33 to 99% tax? Why are snipers sniping?
Yeah, it's like Machiavelli says, the number one thing in crypto is speculative interest. So people try to get in early on things where they think they'll have upside, even despite that tax level. And sometimes they're right. A lot of times they're right. And the Cardwall token launch, the person who bought first made a 20% profit, and he paid a 99% tax. So there is a way that you can essentially speculate on these even at the high tax moments and do well, but probably not every token that launches, definitely not. So you have to be careful. You have to think about it. But look, today there's going to be an option where people will essentially be able to disable the sniper tax, and it'll just be a buffer. Because my main core thing is I just want to stop. I don't know if you guys have ever tried deploying a token on Pump Fun. There's an instant candle on it. Somebody buys it right away. That's always a sniper.
Right.
And the only way you can beat that sniper is if you pay, 5 or 10 soul or whatever. It's okay, I got to buy up my own supply at the start. But this buffer, this anti-snipe period is supposed to beat that. It's supposed to beat these people who are these bad actors in the space. That's the whole point. Everything I'm deploying is just supposed to be nerfing bad actors all day. The thing is, bad actors can also use these tools, right? They can also deploy tokens. So you have to look at every single thing with a grain of salt. I'm going to try to give all the data I can and make it in a clean dashboard so everybody can read. But like what Capo said, our user base, right now we have 27,000 holders. Our user base is not people who are in crypto right now. Our user base is all the people who are trading mostly on centralized exchanges right now. That's our first next leg. And so that's why for the whole next month, with shipping the launchpad, of course, as promised, my number one goal is centralized exchange listings for the StonkBroker token. You can bank on that.
Ooh, and I know you shared in the Discord. Do you mind sharing? Is that a public update you're comfortable with?
Yeah, of course. And look, I don't think that's a secret. Everything's on chain anyway. Essentially, we don't have a team supply. There's no team supply for StonkBroker. Everything's a sync. There was one sync essentially that was taking 50% of activation fees and burning them. That is now redirected to an EOA wallet because I have to build up enough of StonkBroker tokens. And I'm also trying to buy as much as I can on the dip to acquire at least 0.5% of the supply. I have to have that supply to give to people who are called market makers. Market makers fulfill order books within centralized exchanges. And it's something that you can't go around. Obviously, I would love to not even get involved with this stuff, but it's something that is part of the industry. So I have to have those tokens prepared for that. And, the ones I'm going to scope out and really vet, the ones that are doing a good job and the ones that want to move in a positive way, set fair order books and make sure we have good volume across exchanges as well as liquidity. So I'm going to be very careful with that process. And I'm using all of the team members I have on my team, including Adam and his connections to talk to some of the great leaders in the industry who have a lot of experience with centralized exchange listings, like a Luca, like a PP Man, to make sure I'm consulting on a high level to make sure we get this done and make it a lead essentially.
That's awesome. No, exciting. And I mean, we haven't even, I mean, I know I feel like we're burying the lead. We did have All City joining us from the Clock In team. Excited to get to All City here in a minute. We'll get through these hands and we'll get All City. Really appreciate your time. So I'm not, when I say we're burying the lead, no disrespect to the stockbroker ecosystem or Clock In and the activity that took place in the middle of the night, but the space is moving so fast. So with so much exciting stuff happening yesterday, I gotta ask Simple Farmer, any thoughts or comments on Vlad's comments yesterday at the crypto summit, and this pump, this blow off top. I've been saying that 1010 sent us to Hades, 819 sent us to Valhalla. It was the largest short liquidation in the history of crypto yesterday, and we got God candles everywhere. Any thoughts or takeaways from whether Vlad or anything else that was said at the summit yesterday?
Look, we need additional deregulation in order to be able to build more novel products and feel safe as developers. And that's going to be critical to the success of crypto as a whole. Like I said, to get to this little Silicon Valley point, when I see the founder essentially of the chain that I'm building on rubbing elbows with top politicians, probably working on getting legislation passed to make this a more builder friendly environment, very bullish, very bullish. I absolutely love to see it.
Yeah, same. And I'm not trying to get too ahead of ourselves. Anything can happen. The SEC proposal is still just a proposal. We heard from some attorneys yesterday that it is still likely, probably 90 days away. Maybe at best. But we did hear, the stuff coming out of there is hard not to get excited about. Vlad says Robinhood exists to make everyone an owner. Broad ownership is essential to free, stable, and prosperous society. We shared his article on tokenized stocks in America yesterday. He was on Squawk Box. The goal is broader ownership in America. Tokenization is how we get there. I mean, again, a lot of variables. Simple Farmers going for centralized exchange listings. There's no guarantee it gets listed on Robinhood, and maybe it doesn't. I mean, would it be cool? Yeah, but I don't know if it really matters, because if this gold plays out, and between what Robinhood is doing and the SEC is doing, if we do get more people coming on chain to not only trade stocks 24/7, but to tokenize everything to drive this next wave of our financial ecosystem, some of those people are going to look, what else is happening on this chain? And they see what are the top dApps in this chain? And they see StonkBrokers at the top, number one. Some are going to explore. Some are going to dive a little deeper. Just like when I didn't get in, become an active participant in crypto to race digital horses or to mint apes. I got into to collect digital basketball cards or moments. But I started an education. I jumped. It was one thing sent me down the rabbit hole, and I haven't left yet. But it took that one thing that I could relate to. For me, it was collectibles. For a lot of TradFi people, it's going to be tokenized stock trading. And I do think they come not just trade on Robinhood, but I think they'll come on chain, and not all. But if 10% of them decide to explore further and become an active participant, that's big news for all of us. So exciting times. And I also think, I mean, it's not just Vlad either. Like Brian Armstrong had some similar takes, and it really does seem like we are. I think this is we are set up for a very exciting second half of the year. Could be bumpy, could be volatile, but a lot of the stuff we may have dreamed about happening years ago is now seemingly very real. All that being said, the man of the last, not just the last 24 hours, but behind the team clock in overnight. All City, thanks so much for joining us. I know we went, we traded some DMs there. Appreciate you jumping on impromptu here to get us updated. Congrats on the launch. I know some critique on the timeline, but also some misunderstandings, misinformation. GM, sir, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Thanks for joining us. What? How did things play out on your end? How did you feel about the launch and things that follow? And
well, I'm gonna be straight with you, Cap. I'm just getting up here. I got a text from somebody saying that there was spaces going on. So it's 6:20 here on the West Coast. So I'm just sort of putting everything together. Now, one thing that I'm seeing, and I did see a little bit of it before I went to bed last night, was this 7 wallets and all this kind of stuff. So I'm here to chat about anything you guys want to chat about. But about as far as like what I know about what's going on, I'd love to kind of hear, to be totally honest with you. Yeah.
So 7 wallets or whatever, whether that was accurate or not, like one of the things we were talking about was, anti-snipe doesn't mean no one can snipe. It's just if they do snipe, they're going to pay a tax, and some people did that. You know, a few wallets sniped, they paid a big tax. That doesn't mean it was bundled. That doesn't mean it was the team. It was how the platform works. I think one of the questions was why 33% as opposed to 99 for the initial tax.
Yeah. So the way we looked at this was really actually quite simple. So look, I mean, from the beginning, the project was and is and will be really a marketing lever. That's what we want it to be for the stockbroker ecosystem. And let's be honest, the last few drops just didn't really have a whole lot of buzz. They were going sideways. You know, there was the big tax. I'll be completely honest with you. I wasn't in favor of pulling $1 million out of the trenches. You know, like, yes, a lot of that was for snipers or from snipers, but not all of it. There was a lot of early buyers. So for me, we just kind of looked at it like, let's do something a little bit different. And, you know, we had high hopes for the launch. We put a lot of effort into our content leading up to the launch. We just put a whole lot of effort into the whole project. And it just felt like we wanted to do something different. We wanted to not have, we didn't want to penalize the whole space for that length of time. The other thing too was really, I mean, that's really what it comes down to. But I mean, like, what is a sniper tax? A sniper tax is designed, it should be designed to penalize snipers, not people over the course of an hour, in my opinion. Now, I'm not suggesting what went on last night was ideal or better or worse than anything else. But here, this is I'm walking through, you know, what our process was and what our thinking was. And, you know, for us, it just didn't, we wanted to do something different, man. We're not like a tech-heavy product. We're not a protocol that we're building. We're a theme. We're calling ourselves a theme coin, right? We're a coin. We're a simpler entry. We're you know, a simpler project. And so we didn't want to have a bunch of barriers. Again, now, did it work ideally and how it was all planned? I'm not so sure, but that's what our thinking was. We wanted a big win for everybody. We wanted to stack a win coming out of the launch pad too that was doing things a little bit more different, a little bit more trader friendly. But yeah, I mean, that was pretty nasty coming out of the gate, wasn't it?
So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, what, like, the reaction on the timeline is pretty nasty, and I don't. I mean, I certainly have empathy for yourself and any team launching, because you're always going to get hit with stuff. What would, I guess, two questions. The first is, like, knowing what you know now, is there any, and I know it's also super early and it's only been a few hours, so maybe premature to do a proper, like, post-mortem or a debrief, but knowing what you know now, is there anything that you would have done differently for the launch?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I mean, I think first and foremost, we would have let this thing out there a week and a half ago when we were ready to.
Someone mentioned that earlier.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's a big thing. And the longer that wait went on, the more people were getting burned by fakes. And I hated that, man. I mean, I know so many people that were buying into fake coins, right? So that's number one. I mean, there's certain things that are within our control, and there was a lot of things that weren't. And so the delays certainly, for the most part, weren't. Now, that's not to say that the reasons for those delays aren't justified, but there were delays. So that's number one, right? So I would have liked to have had that out a lot sooner. As far as the mechanics go, I'm not sure, right? I mean, obviously it didn't go as ideal last night as we wanted. But again, I mean, it's pretty early, Cap, so definitely I haven't done like a full postmortem yet. I think my style really, I mean, going back to the 8 point days, is really to gather as much feedback as I can. Clearly there's a lot of feedback that I'm waking up to right now in the timeline that I need to go through, but coming on these spaces is going to be helpful. Doing a lot of just kind of outreach. And finding out what people's experiences were, and also just seeing how these other launches are going. So that's sort of where I'm at in terms of changes. It's still pretty early, right? Intentions made a lot of sense. I'm not super tech savvy, so like in terms of seeing how these snipers worked yesterday and just that wall that was it was crazy to kind of see, right? So I'm not Sybil Farmer in terms of understanding how all of these different nuances work when you're you're deploying a contract and everything like that. So in theory, to us, the intention was to create something that was much more trader friendly than we've seen in the recent launches. Volatility we knew was going to be a thing. So yeah, I mean, we still feel pretty good. I mean, I'm gonna make sure that I'm as available as I can, because for anybody who's talking about stuff like these wallets were associated with Team, I'm here to tell you they most certainly were not. Does that mean that the launch went as optimal as we would have wanted? No, but certainly we're here, we're open, we're ready to chat. So.
I love it. Well, I appreciate you stepping right in the fire and taking the questions. We do have a few hands on stage. We'll go to Drew and then Achilles. If anyone else has any questions for All City, drop those in the chat, or feel free to join us on stage as well. I would just ask, as we pride ourselves here, I haven't said it for a while, but we do pride ourselves on coffee, that we can disagree without being disagreeable. So it's fair to critique. It's fair to have questions, concerns, feedback. Just do so in a respectful manner, and we don't need to make things personal or no ad hominem attacks. Like we can disagree without being disagreeable. Not that I have any concern with Drew or Achilles, but as we're opening up the stage, just wanted to say that. It's been a minute. As things heat up, inevitably, we'll get a little more of that. But Drew, GM, thoughts or questions for All City?
Yeah, I mean, I think just to, I was looking more on chain, right? And then Nova put out a tweet. So, like, again, the anti-snipe system worked exactly the way it was for the first 300 seconds. Every buy was taxed 99.99%. Then it dropped to 33%, decayed 1% per minute to zero. 495 million of the 1 billion supply was loaded on the Barney curve. It looks like around 190 people bought during the 99.99% window. Again, they didn't understand. Spent 42 ETH and got 0.03% of the supply. 7 wallets, which I've done my due diligence, definitely not from the team, or it appears as so, which, again, knowing All City, wouldn't expect that. Waited exactly 300 seconds, bought in a single block at 33%, took 75% of the supply, clearing 251 ETH in profit. So again, worked exactly the way it was. And, I think the other part of this too, and this is just maybe the maturity of the space, probably 70% of the people, if you ask why they got into clock-in and you ask them what actually is clock-in and what's the purpose, do they even know it's a theme coin? They'd probably say no. So like, I think this is also the maturity of the space where, you can't just buy something because it's launching through the StonkBroker. Like, buy something because you actually believe in it, not because just price goes up. Very tough. It's a token, but I think people are just, you got to start believing in something and not just kind of slinging money. And then when it doesn't work out because you didn't understand, then you get all mad and you flood on the timeline, and then you make some crazy assumptions that 7 wallets was from the team with 0 due diligence done on the chain.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty wild to me.
Yeah.
Thanks, Drew. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, brother. That was actually I was doing it because Nova probably nothing posted that, and then I just Robinhood has got to switch to Etherscan. I mean, this block scout is just probably the most atrocious thing I've ever seen in my life.
And I do want to get back to questions here. We'll get All City or Achilles in here next for any questions for Achilles. Anyone else, feel free to drop them in the chat or join us. Drew, my why is that? Help me understand. Like, technically, like, I know I'm not trying to simplify it. I know I'm not the expert, but they're all EVM chains. Is it that hard to fork or copy pasta Etherscan? Like, I've seen other chains that have perfectly fine scans. Like, what makes it challenging?
It is. I mean, Etherscan, if you want your own, it's about $100,000 a year. I mean, it's gosh damn Robinhood. Like, dude,
pay the price, right? I mean, I know. Like, if you're,
I don't know what kind of sweet deal Block Scout did with them, or if it was, hey, I know a buddy or whatever. And again, nothing against Block Scout, right, at all. I mean, Etherscan is just awesome. It's been around for forever. All of us are used to it. Like, it's just the way it is.
Yeah, it just works. And I mean, is 100K is that a lot of money for? Yeah, I guess, but not for Robinhood. And you're gonna have to pay something. Maybe like to your point, maybe they got it for 10K. Maybe it was free. But I just I don't know. It's wild to me that's something that seems so, I guess, copyable, so replicatable, duplicatable, that we still struggle with some of these block explorers today is kind of wild, but I digress. Achilles, questions for All City?
Actually, 4 straight points, like super fast. I had a question for Simple Farmer. Like, not because the question is a small thing, but I just wanted to say, like, from what I've seen in groups that I'm in, I mean, the FUD. I mean, there is FUD a bit of FUD on the timeline, but from the people who really know, I mean, they're not really fudding. There's just I just like, maybe this helps a bit because I know that it's 6 a.m. his time. He just launched a project. He wanted to do like something really interesting. He's gonna do something interesting. So I really think that like he merits at least like to say that there are some people who really do believe that this was like an interesting project. It is an interesting project, and the whole ecosystem, the whole like stockbroker ecosystem is still too early. I mean, we're judging something for a 30-day run when like all this innovation happened, and it does not make sense. The second point is when it comes to the SEC proposal cap yesterday, and we can have a longer conversation because I know like now maybe people want to ask questions to like on the launch, so I'm not gonna take long. But this is a true change. We had like 3 ways to raise capital before for startups, and I work with that. I worked with startups in the US to kind of raise capital, Reg D, Reg A, and Reg CF. And those regulations are getting kind of boosted with crypto. So we're going to get to talk about that, but it's a super interesting dynamic, what it could create for innovation, for startups, for early stage startups to actually scale products, especially in AI, in on-chain products, innovation, robotics, etc. Last point is when it comes to basically communication, I think, and I told Simple Farmer, I think like just if Simple Farmer just focuses on like more on like sharing the innovation part specifically, and I think everything's gonna be okay. Everything's gonna like be clear for the people who know but won't necessarily comment or won't necessarily share. But I have that with my social content. I get a lot of FUD on some platforms when I share content or I share an idea. But I know that there are people that are technical. When they read or hear my posts, they're gonna relate and they're gonna be here when things get complicated. Thank you.
Yeah, no, yeah, well said. I'll say I did get just another question if you're able to answer, or for those that are doxed or known.
Yeah.
Just a question on who else is on the team, or what is the I guess twofold question. Anything you speak to about the rest of the team, and then what might be as a theme coin, and you had some plans. What's next? What might we be looking forward to, or what might be coming next from the Clock-In team?
Yeah, well, look, I mean, let's get into the team. Let's get into, you know what, I think it'd be fair to talk about sort of the origin story of the token as well, just really quick, if you got a minute, Kat. So
yeah, for sure. Love to.
Yeah. So a good buddy of mine for like 20 years. Okay. So we're like graffiti guys. Okay. So a really good buddy of mine in Vancouver for 20 years runs a media company. Okay. They do a ton of content for all sorts of different industries, including tokens, including in crypto. When the World Cup was going on, there was, Tony out in New York, Sports Monkey team. So I was in a World Cup chat. Okay. It's a fun chat. There's a bunch of founders. And, it was just somewhere to kind of talk about sports. Simple Farmer would hop in every now and then, and he would talk about his Pop Cup. I didn't own any. And then something just sort of registered with what he was talking about he was going to build with StonkBrokers. So I started DMing Simple Farmer just some questions about what he was building. And it sounded kind of interesting. So I started buying. I think I had minted a bunch of clutch pups, but I think I only had like maybe one left. And during that process, right before the window to burn had ended, I had accumulated, I don't know, I think 19 or something of these pup cups. And I talked to my buddy, who's my partner on the project, who does all the content. And I said, hey, he's more of a Solana guy. And I said, hey, I think there's something to this project. And you got to buy these NFTs. They're super cheap right now. You're going to have to burn them. I go, I don't know. But something kind of cool is going on with this, and he grabbed 2. So my partner on it actually minted StonkBrokers. Okay, and so when the project went live, Simple Farmer was talking about a launch pad, and so he was like, "Man, this is like a really cool ecosystem." I go, "I know, I'm telling you, right?" I'm like, "It's super something's pretty neat here." And so what had happened was, his content team, it's removed now, but our pinned tweet it was like the one with the guy in the casino and he picks up the camcorder. So that bit of content was actually created, and it was called Mr. Stonks. That's what the original name for this token was going to be. Okay. So then I reached out to Simple Farmer and I was like, hey, what do you think of this? We're thinking about doing something fun when the launch pad opens up. And we started chatting. And next thing you know, and this is going back into July, right? And so next thing you know, we're like, okay, well, let's do clock in. When I say let's, I don't mean Simple Farmer's, he's third party on this, but it was certainly part of the discussion. So the team is a good buddy of mine for 20 years who does content and media, right? And so I was like, well, listen, I can help with growth. I can help with partnerships. I know a lot of the ecosystem. So that's the team. So that's how this all came about, man, because we both minted StonkBrokers and we're like, this is like such a cool thing that's going on. Let's build something fun. And so we wanted to do like a media coin, right? How can we do something that supports the ecosystem? How can we do something fun? Sort of again, like I mentioned earlier, how can we do something that's kind of a lower lift for people to understand, a lower lift for people to get involved with? Because, pardon my language, but StonkBrokers, I mean, that rise up to what, 90 million? I mean, it happened pretty fast. That was pretty aggressive. And so you did have a lot of people who felt like they were sort of on the outside. And even though, there's obviously multiple entry points to a coin, just like there is with ours right now, there's psychology involved, right? So people kind of feel like they got sidelined. And so we really wanted to be that token to get people into the ecosystem that, maybe felt sidelined. And so that's how the project came about. And that's the team.
Fun. Love to hear the origin stories. Drew, go ahead. Question for All City.
I'm curious on if the team or what was decided around the time to launch, because I think one thing that definitely needs to get fixed, or one thing that's playing a big psycho factor on a lot of people, I guess especially Europe, depending on where the target audience is people staying up till 3-4 a.m. and they're waiting for a token, and if it isn't immediately 10x, then that there's like the psychology of it all, like they're all groggy and tired and upset and blah blah. So I'm just curious as to if you guys had to stay in the time, or why that time, or
That's a great question. And again, pretty innocent answer. So yesterday it was kind of like, okay, everything's ready. Let's go. We wanted to do it early afternoon. I want to be very clear. It was just like a very human thing. But Simple Farmer's on the other side of the world, right? And so Simple Farmer had to go to bed. And so the initial thinking was, well, we should have Simple Farmer around just in case there's any issues with the UI. That was his suggestion, right? And then so we're like, okay, well, let's do it. And really the plan was to kind of do it around 10 when Simple Farmer woke up. Was it ideal? Maybe, probably not. We started to see that pretty quickly with the tweet that we put out yesterday that was, this is how we felt. A global community requires, global time zones. But we did see that a lot of people in Europe felt like they were slighted. So I'm not going to open up DMs, but certainly there are DMs going, man, like, should we just put it over until morning? And then my partner's like, I don't know about that, bro. We've already put out 2 tweets today, one that it's coming and then one that it's going to be between this time frame. He says, I think we should just put it out. So again, not ideal, but guys and ladies, the intentions were nothing but good, nothing but pristine, right? So you're not going to kind of win everybody. But yeah, no, that wasn't like some big, it's a great question, Drew. And I'm really glad that you did, because that's like a super technical guy who, thinks about every angle possible. That's what you do. That's what your job. That's who you are. That's really the extent of it. It was just like, let's put this thing out. We had tweeted the day that it was ready. Simple Farmer had to get some sleep. Let's try to make sure he's around if there's any issues with the UI. And then boom, that was kind of
it. When is the right? I mean, does anyone have if you're in All City's hands, or you're in, I don't know, fill in the blank next upcoming NFT mint, when is the optimal time to drop, whether it's an NFT mint? What time?
3 p.m. Eastern.
3 p.m. Eastern? I thought you said 8 p.m. Eastern. I was like, nope, that's not it, because that's bedtime. 3 p.m. Eastern, because then you get Europe still. Europe still's awake, right?
You hit all time zones, whether it's not too early in the morning, not too late. And then you're also hitting the optimal times that people are going to be online in your device and not at a 9 to 5. The best that you can to meet. And you're not going to meet everything. You're not. But the best that you can for everyone that is active in Web3, quote unquote.
Yep, makes sense.
That's a great tip. And for anybody out there who's like planning to launch a project, there you go. Because it is a big thing, and clearly you're seeing it with what went on last night. And yeah, just sorry, Cap, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but just to sort of double down on everything. Yeah, I mean, our goal wasn't to like wear anybody out or anything like that. I mean, I spent the better part of 3 years in Hong Kong, so there was a lot of my friends out there that I wanted to make sure got this as well. So for them, it was cozy, but obviously it didn't work for everybody. But you can't win everybody. You can't win them all. But Drew, that's a great piece of advice right there.
Yeah, and the reality is there's probably no perfect time. You're never going to make everyone happy. Someone's going to miss, someone's going to be upset. And the other thing I know is the only imperfect time would be 9 a.m. Eastern to host a space. If you know, you know. That's all I got today.
I don't know. Oh, okay. I'll back off of that. I'll back off.
It's all good. It's all good.
I felt like maybe there was more to that.
No. Just a space I used to love to promote and send people to that, because we've got, I don't know, twice as many listeners here that would love to send to another space, but not going to do it during our show. So I don't understand the logic behind it, but it is what it is, and I'll take my jabs when appropriate. I kid. Not really. I'm not kidding. But I see an idiot jumped up. An idiot always has some sage takes and good questions. An idiot GM. Thoughts on this? Questions
I literally just woke up, so maybe somebody already made this point. But I woke up and I'm listening to you guys talk about the specific time as if that was the issue, and I don't think that was the issue. We are degens. If you give me a time that's in the middle of the night, I will set an alarm, and I will get up and I will click buttons. And in All City, this is not unique to you. I think this is a mistake the founders make all the time. People put out a time frame because they think they're going to be ready, and then they end up not being ready. There was a window that popped up on the StonkBroker website box that said inside of the next 24 hours. That 24-hour period had evaporated in the middle of the day yesterday. It's the problem is when people are waiting around for a 24-hour period of time, and then that doesn't happen, and then there's another window of time, and then that also doesn't happen. It's at the extreme end, and everyone's like, oh man, like a lot of people probably clicked over to 1 Eastern last night and they just went to bed. You know what I mean? And this is I know I'm giving you kind of a hard time right now, but this is not unique to you at all. This is like a regular thing in Web3 where founders, they kind of get over their skis a little bit, being ahead of themselves, thinking they're more ready than they are with something, and they give a time frame, and then I don't know. I would just say if a situation like that comes up, even if you've already jumped the gun with a time frame, just like, dude, just like some transparency, man. Just like as soon as you realize it's like, hey, we're gonna wait or whatever, just like put that out there, say why. Anyway, that was my take, because we were up all night last night, and I mean I bought some clock in, and I'm gonna hold it for sure. But anyway.
No, that's great. And I will say that I appreciate all those comments. Transparency is me. I mean, that's who I've always been, and that's how this project is going to be on, moving forward. That's why it's 6 a.m. I still don't even know what's all over the timeline. I just know that there was talk of the 7 wallets and stuff. But Cap, do we got time to address one other quick thing with my good friend Jay Bond and what he's writing on the timeline, or what?
Yeah, go for it. I haven't seen it, but I can pull it up now.
Yeah. So here's a little thing about and look, I love Jay Bond. Okay, Jay Bond is the biggest heart. He's one of the best apes out there. Jay Bond is feeling a little bit. He's feeling a little disappointed about some communication regarding when we had reached out to him about visibility. So I'm going to be very, very clear about what went on with this. And Jay Bond is not at fault either. Nobody is really at fault. I'm just going to be very clear. You can check out his tweets if you like. So this is my first time sort of being on a coin project. So for anybody out there who doesn't know me, I am not some serial coin guy. This is my one coin that I'm going to be ever doing. This is what I'm going to be putting my all into. This is where you're going to get all your transparency. And this is where we're going to have all of our fun. Okay. My history in the space as an operator, not a chronic token launcher, not even just any other project. So you're going to get my all on this project. Okay. So that's number one. So when we were first doing our tokenomics, we had put aside 4% and a 4% allocation for marketing, community development, and product development. And so me being a little bit naive in terms of like how public perception is and just different things, I assumed, okay, well, we've got 4% to work with marketing. I should probably reach out to some people who can help with marketing, right? And so my good friend J-Bond was on that list. Now, as the project continued to evolve, as legal contracts got involved, as different agreements with clutch markets, became involved, because we're in legal contracts with these guys, okay? KOLs and just different things like that was just not, it was not going to be acceptable. And so it was a very difficult situation for me, because I had reached out and I had talked to certain people and made certain arrangements under the preface that, hey, I'll be able to access some of this marketing allocation, which just that's not the case. And you can see in our current tokenomics that it's actually vested. We don't have access to it until the 1 month mark. And so there were certain situations that I just had to walk back. With J-Bond, I am very disappointed, because I probably could have been more punctual just in terms of when he was reaching out looking for a follow-up. That's also not my style. As you can imagine, when you're doing a project, especially when there's like multiple teams involved with it, things like can pile up very, very quickly. And just, yeah, they can just pile up really quickly. So J-Bond is one of the biggest hearts. I'm definitely not going to be taking to the timeline to be insulting with him or anything like that. I love the guy. Was in DMs with him last night. He just feels like there could have been a little bit more better communication, and I'm going to own that. There absolutely could have been. But the reason why was because we didn't go that route in terms of with marketing and stuff like that. So intentions always good. Few things that we definitely learned through the process. But yeah, no need to be disgruntled with J-Bond, great guy, but that's just the background with that, right? And so they're just, those marketing dollars, those marketing tokens just weren't available to us, right? So I should have been a little bit more clear. I didn't really realize he would get as offended as he clearly has been, and finding out that the launch happened without like full clarity, and I'm owning that. That was my fault. But in terms of why all that happened, it's kind of just all to do about nothing, really. So there.
Captain, can I just say something? Dude, honestly, this is like the character that I was talking about earlier on display. Like, you don't have to get disgruntled. I was getting disgruntled because I saw literally, again, like just based on like someone impugning the character of a team that, at least all the evidence that I've seen, you're looking and now speaking to one of, if not the top, definitely top 3 most ethical people, which is a hard bar to kind of get past in crypto in this space. And the fact that you kind of just showered him with love is kind of amazing to hear. And just brief context, the reason I know this and the reason that Alcine and I even first bonded had nothing to do with financialization of the space. We just saw the characters of what we knew as 2 decent people being dragged through the mud, i.e. Gordon and Garga, by some conspiracy theorists and 4chaners. And we just thought that was wrong, and we were speaking up against that. And I just want to make sure that doesn't get repeated again. But man, I think you I appreciate that you say you weren't disgruntled, but man, I mean, some of the posts out there were kind of outrageous. What I saw.
Go ahead and respond.
No, I was just going to say, shout out Justin. I mean, one of the real ones in the space, and one of my favorite people. I mean, we go back so long, and I appreciate those kind words, Justin. I was just, Cap, I was just almost grinning there for a second, because I really haven't seen all the FUD, but it's okay. I understand it. And in terms of, I understand when people don't understand or know the full side of something, especially in a space like crypto, your initial reaction is going to be, this guy's trying to screw us, or the team's trying to screw us. And so I get it, but that's why I'm here, and I'm going to remain here, and we're going to keep building. And this ticker, it's one of the best in crypto. Part of, the broader ecosystem that's building something very, very special, very, very unique in crypto. There's always weird action that happens around launches. We're not going anywhere, man. We're here to build. We're here to do cool stuff. I'm always available. And yeah.
Something's come to me as well. I appreciate you joining us today, talking through this, meeting everything head on, especially so bright and early after a late night last night. I think one of the like I'm searching for an analogy in my head of where we might have even seen anything remotely close to this prior, but I don't know if we have. And what I mean by this is, I said anytime there's an activation or launch, especially when teams are experimenting and doing new things and shipping at a very fast cadence, that it's like an attack vector. It's rare, especially if it's something new, that everything goes perfect at launch. And anytime there is a launch, like it just gives people who are just want engagement or sidelined or want a FUD, it gives them an opportunity to do so. I think one of the unique things here is, and I'm attempting to unpack why, but what I think we're seeing here is it's both parties are getting it, meaning Simple Farmer, the stockbroker ecosystem, is getting FUD because a lot of FUD. Actually, I'm seeing more FUD towards the stockbroker ecosystem than even Clock-in, because people were claiming that the Clock-in token got sniped. And I just saw another one. Someone said the team made 60 ETH on this. I'm not going to touch another thing out of the stockbroker ecosystem. And I know Drew, who understands how to read blockchain, said that doesn't. He validated. He went and checked, and that's just simply not accurate. You can either, you don't have to agree with everything All City says. You can disagree without being disagreeable. I guess you don't have to believe him, but if you take him at his face value, what he's saying, those 7 wallets weren't connected to the team in any way, shape, or form. Is that correct, All City? Like, from I'm not misspeaking there, right? Like
150%. I mean, and for everybody who doesn't really understand how the structure of these some of these other launches as well, I'm not sure. I can't speak for other founders, but for ours, I mean, peeps, our gains off of this project are fees. That's what it is. It's just the fees. I mean, the fees are going to be all right from yesterday, but we got to keep the lights on. This was like a month and a half worth of work as well. We're not gaining off of any sort of tokens. We're not buying tokens. That's in our contract as well. So it's just literally it's the fees, guys. Like, that's what it is.
Yeah. So I think, but and I believe you. I don't mean, I don't know. I guess people might lie over 60 ETH. I don't think your plans here were to put all this work in and then snipe it to make 60 ETH. Also, we have a third party, Drew, who checked the chain and validated, yeah, this wasn't the team wallets. It was snipers who sniped and paid the tax, and the system worked how it was described. That said, because it's new, it's different, people are there's some people that are, again, maybe just engagement, but I think what the plane I'm trying to land here is, because it's a new ecosystem, it's a third-party independent team does an activation, does a launch, and it FUD's driving back to StonkBrokers, in this case the launchpad, the technology, the protocol. Shockerman Dan says, asked this question: Stonkbroker Discord last week, new being connected to independent launches in any fashion would be a net negative. Now that the lesson has been felt and the platform can start to find itself, some runners, I suspect one emerges within the week. And not only is, and it's going the other way as well, where I don't know, I shouldn't assume, but I do know, and I can also, I'm not as good at reading the chain as Drew is, but I can read it a little bit, and some people who were really big time FUDding Clock-in, come to find out, I really don't want to single people out, because it's not that deep for me, and I'm not trying to, I'm sure there's multiple people like this, but I've seen someone who's been just bear posting FUD, StonkBrokers, and now FUDding Clock-in, and because of that, and the team made 60 ETH, which we believe not to be true. I'll never touch anything in the StonkBrokers. We'll come to find out that person had a bunch of clutch puppies that they didn't burn. Claims they did, but the chain says otherwise. I didn't look at J-Bon's wallet, but I saw someone, one of the first comments was similar there. He had exposure to the ecosystem, didn't participate, and I'm not saying that's why he sent that post out. And hey, you owned up to it. You didn't respond, and as quick as you would have liked to, or he was expecting, and there could have been better communication around that. I do think there's this added layer of maybe tension, because the ecosystem's done so well, and so far and not only did some people miss it, but how they missed it, where they could have participated with a free mint and they didn't for whatever reason, probably a variety of reasons. It's this like gray cloud. It's this, it's this pain in their side that it makes them feel better by fudding things associated with the ecosystem, because maybe if the price goes to zero, it wasn't as bad as a miss because I didn't take action, or I don't know if it's making sense. It came to me in real time, but I think there's like an extra layer of FUD here, or haters, if we want to call it that, because some people, and I'm, small sample size, but the few I spot check that are big time fudders this morning of both clock in, and then as a result, the stockbroker ecosystem, were individuals that had, in some cases, multiple clutch puppies. I just did the math on one I didn't check everything, but it would have been like $500,000 that they missed out on. And that's not why they're saying they're fudding clock in, or why they think the team made $60 million, but I can understand it. I can empathy.
And Captain, if I didn't mishear Drew earlier, Drew, you can speak to this. Is it true that, like, I think you said that a lot of wallets that you identified that were fudding actually bought earlier some of the fake clock-in token, and they got scammed on those? And
it was
that what I heard
fake,
too?
or they bought in at the 99% and didn't realize. Like, they didn't read, they didn't do anything. They just I mean, like, all this comes down to like hindsight bias, right? It's like, if you're a football coach, you're a high school football coach, it's the fourth quarter, there's 10 seconds left. You have the opportunity to tie the game by kicking a field goal, or you have the opportunity to go for it and score a touchdown and win the game, right? If you go and you make the choice to go for the touchdown and you score it, you're a hero. You're a champ.
Shout out to the Hoosiers and Mendoza. Thank you for that.
Right?
Shout out.
Like, everyone loves you. But if you go for it and you miss, you're an idiot. Why wouldn't you just go for the tie? Why would you take that risk? How dumb. So, like, it all just comes back to the psychology. There's always a root cause, and it's always from what perspective you're looking at it. Because, yeah, I mean, even myself, like, dude, I was on vacation, wasn't paying attention. I had clutch puppies I didn't burn. That shit keeps me up at night. I think about that.
Wait. So you missed, not only missed, you missed, and it could have been like, it's not that you missed because you didn't buy on the secondary low. You missed because you had ones you could have burnt for free. You missed it, and you're not fudding, Drew? Is that allowed? Are you allowed to miss something and not hate on it?
Captain.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, dude, I told you I had four pup cups, and I just sold them the night before just because I was lazy. And
God, you are an idiot.
That's so true.
I can't, guys. His handle is an idiot. I'm not. For those of you listening to the recording later, I'm not taking shots. It's all in good fun. An idiot's a good friend, and I know I can jab him like that because he also does very well. And that's part of the space. Like, if you're here and you're active, if you're going to hit a big hit, you're probably going to have, like, I don't know, 1 to 10 big misses that you were there for, and you just missed it. Like, it's just, I don't know. Like, I skew towards the optimistic side and like being positive and eyes forward. Like, I've missed things. I wish it would have been a hell of a lot more StonkBrokers. I just, I don't know as if, like, that's the best place to put your energy, because go ahead.
I just have a question. Maybe I'm just thinking off the top of my head, maybe too simplistic here, but, like, just thinking of solutions to, like, these token launches, and trying to align with, like, at least some type of long-term holding. Couldn't this be approached just through, like, a hyper accelerated kind of like IPO, where instead of a tax, there's just like a vesting period of, like, and literally, like, if you're buying, like, within the first 5 minutes, it best late maybe an hour and 5 minutes, and just like a curved vesting, like, schedule that literally
you would never get hype around that for that, because there's no instant realization that someone could go ahead and just 10x their money in a matter of 5 minutes.
Even if it's compacted down to, like, an hour. Yeah.
I don't see how you could get the hype that Clock-in had if that was the case, because then people are going to FUD even worse, because they have, like, look at what was that that ICO? Like, people had $1 million for something similar that you said, where it was like a 3-month lock-in. The first month they had $1 million in the wallet. Then when it actually unlocked, it was like $700. I mean, people.
Oh, right, but I'm talking about like a vesting period, like, literally, so people,
any vesting,
like
any
those
vesting
first
with that.
Okay. Like,
I mean, because imagine,
wallets,
like, everyone always looks like, oh, all these tokens are down 99%. They're down 99% because it shot up 1,000x in the first 30 minutes, and then that's where you're going to compare for the life cycle of everything else. Like I just, you know,
Yeah, no, that's a good
comparing
point.
comparing that to anything else, like that's just, I don't know. I just like with this kind of stuff, you're not going to solve for everything. You're not. Like there's always going to be something for someone in a different way, and it's really, you know, no one ever calls customer support to say, hey, you're doing a good job. And, you know, are you going to focus more on that, or are you going to focus on more of the people that, you know, have actual good feedback, where, you know, that is your core community? And I think a lot of this just comes to core community. And plus two, I mean, you know, like Simple was saying, I mean, what, 27,000 holders, you know, he said majority are not from Web3. I think there's probably like maybe 1,000 from Web3, and the rest are just buying and holding. They don't give a shit, or they have no idea what's going on for any of this kind of stuff. No idea. But I think if you introduce vesting, they'd be like, hold on, what the fuck kind of scam is this?
Yeah,
I actually don't think it's a terrible idea, personally.
The optics I'm learning of doing a token are, I mean, optics are always very important in anything in life, right? Because it sort of like comes down to like, okay, well, you know, see, I'm all about intentions, right? But the thing is optics have to come into play as well too, because even when your intentions are good, if the optics don't display that, then, you know, then it kind of wrecks everything. I had two things I just kind of wanted to throw in there. So number one of our big concerns for the token holders, for Clock In, was, okay, well, you know, because we're sort of a lighter lift, because, you know, we're not building a protocol, it seems logical that, you know, some people might look at us with, you know, less value than, say, the StonkBroker token. And so one of our big concerns was, well, I wonder if guys are going to come in, they're going to buy, they're going to dump, and they're going to rotate back into StonkBroker, right? And so I wanted to just kind of say what surprised me last night, because I do see some, and I think when I jumped in the space earlier, just to start, there was sort of talk about where the StonkBroker token price is at right now. What was surprising to me was just post-launch. This was like, you know, this is when we were, you know, we had just launched last night. I think we were around like 3.5 million market cap. And so I've, like in Telegram, I've got the Clutch Labs Telegram, which has got the buy bot. And I was very surprised to see that even while we were, you know, at a 3.5 million market cap, when there really wasn't too much FUD, people were still sort of like, it was just still sort of very new. StonkBroker was dipping pretty hard, and I was surprised about that. So that's just sort of like one note, because I'm seeing where it's at today, and no doubt that it's going to get back up. But that's something to kind of remind yourself of. And then the other thing, what was I going to say? There was 2 points I was going to make. If I can't remember the second one, I'll let it go. But yeah, maybe I'll just let that rest. If it pops back in my head, I'll jump in.
You know, the other part of this too. Sorry, I'll say one last comment.
Go for it.
I'm gonna go here. Is, you know, I think for the first time, you know, Robinhood has introduced us some normies and all this other kind of stuff. But you know, this is the first time that I think in the meme coin world, because I hate Solana. I think Solana's dying. Where this is a little different. Like these are tokens that aren't just launching. Like it's not pump funds where it's just running on like a meme that's funny, or, you know, something where if someone mentions it, it does 100x. Like there are, you know, at least for the special products, like actual teams, actual products, some things behind it. But, you know, in this day and age, like I think people are looking at these investments in ways which are completely wrong. Goes against the advice that everyone always says, where, you know, they're putting $100 to make 500 to pay rent. Like things are getting more and more and more pricey. Like a lot of actual real people that aren't like degen, like Web2, Web3. I mean, they're not necessarily, at least in my opinion, you know, like getting into meme coins. They're sticking with like XRP. They're sticking with Doge because, you know, they know that they can throw 10 or 20 bucks, and they know that in the future that'll go ahead and turn into, you know, what they think is like 2 or 3 grand. So it's also interesting just to see the amount of people of the size reduction that they're actually gambling with, but then also the expectation go up of how much they're going to make off it. It's like this weird inverse, which is just, you know, absolutely just asinine to me. But, you know, it just has a lot to do with the macro.
I mean, great point. And I mean, I don't mean this as a hyperbole. I cannot remember the last time a meme coin launched or theme coin. You know, well, let's just say it's a meme coin, just for this example. That, like, I know, like, I'm not to say like, oh, no press is bad press, but it's got to be the most talked about meme coin that had a at a $1.2 million market cap ever. Like, no,
Yeah.
like there's something there. Like it may be frustrating for the team to be dealing with the FUD and have to put out some fires and being blamed or accused of sniping their own launch and pocketing 60 ETH, and like that's probably tough. But the whole idea of like attention and living rent free in so many people's heads, like I don't know. I think this is kind of bullish. I just said in the war room that the space is going to get their. I should use a better word here. I'm just going to read it as quoting myself. If the space is going to get their panties in a bunch over every launch on StonkBrokers, that's very bullish in my opinion. Like the fact that so many people care about a meme coin that's got a $1.2 million market cap that just launched a few hours ago, and it's got the space in an uproar. Like, what, this happens on, could you imagine like if every pump fund launch got met with this sort of blowback, every pump fund coin that bonded and then didn't rip up to $100 million? Like it's pretty wild that there's so much attention. And I don't mean any offense to All City by this, but it's, the reality is this is a pretty small deal. Like it's one launch on a stock pad. Somebody like, oh, everything's junk out of, there's no product. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you don't have to be in like the idea of a Jupiter for EVM ecosystem, but Chainmancers is certainly a product. Cardwall's certainly a product. Like there's real stuff. And I know meme coins aren't for everyone. Theme coins, brand coins, whatever you want to, like, it's a fungible token. It's not for everyone, but to say that there's nothing that's come out of the ecosystem is just objectively wrong, just inaccurate. You don't have to like it, but like there's a lot of stuff happening. And the fact that if you zoom out and I tell you, forget a meme coin for a second. If you say, oh, there was this new protocol that's kind of been the talk of the town, it's had a tremendous amount of success in their first month. They just launched another product last night. They didn't even launch. It was a third party launched a product on their platform last night that led to becoming the top revenue DApp on Robinhood and generated, another 6 figures for the ecosystem. That's bullish in almost every single regard. It's wild, but I do think it goes back to a lot of emotion in this one. And I do think a lot of people, they're not going to say this, but I think a lot of people are really coping bad because they miss StonkBrokers and they feel like, oh, I missed that. There's not going to be any other opportunity. So versus me looking for what might be next, whether it's in the StonkBroker ecosystem or elsewhere, they'd rather take their time and energy and take shots, often of which is just the shots they're taking is wrong. Like in some cases, maybe they just don't know, or they don't know how to read the chain, or they're just saying, or they're parroting something they saw in another post, but it's on chain. Like you can go look for yourself. We heard it from Drew. Nova said the same thing. Just did some quick clock and analysis, dug into this one, and it's honestly not what people are saying. No exploit or insiders, just a mechanism doing exactly what it was written to do. The way the anti-snipe was designed, for the first 300 seconds, every buy was taxed. In this case, it started at 33% and then decayed 1% per minute to zero. 495 million of the 1 billion supply was loaded into the bonding curve. 193 people bought during the tax window, spent 42 ETH, and got 0.038% of it. 7 wallets waited exactly 300 seconds, bought it in a single block at 33%, and took 75% of it, clearing 251 ETH in profit. Basically, just poor anti-snipe design, and something more linear would have been a lot healthier. So I think the one thing that, not to correct Nova here, but part of the, as I understand it, it wasn't taxed at 99%. It started at 33% and it decayed. So a little bit of different there in terms of the design. But it wasn't the team. It wasn't All City. It wasn't others on the team. It was snipers, and they got taxed. Now,
Well, I think the difference being is that typically it should start at 99% and then decay down to whatever, but there was such a stark drop from 99 directly to 33 was the I think, in my opinion, lesson learned or very interesting analysis given the behavior that we saw. Again, all by design.
Can I ask, did you guys already talk about, you maybe already did, and if so, I'll listen back to the recording. No need to answer it again. But what was the thought process behind going from 99% directly to 33%? Because I know, like, I was in a VC with a bunch of guys. I noticed, first of all, I noticed the ticker with the verified badge immediately. And then I noticed the countdown immediately, and it said it was going to go to 33%. And before it even did, I mean, all of us were in a complete consensus. This is going to go to 33%, bond immediately. And then as soon as it's off the bond, I mean, people are going to snipe it. Like, was there, I don't know, it seemed kind of obvious even to me. And I've never launched a coin or even thought about launching a coin.
Yeah, look, it's a great question. So two things there. So number one, we were also, this is no slight on any of the other teams on this or anything like that, but because on the website it was very clear with a countdown and with the amount of that 99% tax. But going into the launch, we were under the impression that wasn't even going to be visible. So that first 5 minutes, we were told that wasn't going to be visible. So like we didn't think that anybody other than people who were just sniffing out the chain were going to get dinged on that, right? But again, I mean, it was pretty clear on the website. As far as going to the 33%, yeah, I mean, I did touch on it earlier. I mean, look, lesson learned. I mean, our approach was really, we wanted to do something a little bit more trader friendly. I'm going to be very, very transparent and very, very blunt when I say we weren't in favor of that $1 million that was taken out of the trenches on that recent drop. Now, like, because the way we looked at that, it was kind of like, well, you're also taxing early buyers, and the longer that curve goes on, it's not really snipers that you're hitting, right? But I mean, we did see what happened last night. So the thinking was just trying to do something a little bit different for the space. Again, a simpler coin, a simpler project. We wanted to be a little bit more trader friendly. Now, when I say trader friendly, again, it's not appealing to snipers. We just wanted to do things a little different. Everything with like the air, it felt like the air had kind of left the room in terms of some of the recent launches. Everything was kind of going sideways. Memes, let's be honest, they're very volatile. That's not necessarily a good thing. That's not necessarily what we wanted to play into, but certainly it's part of our thinking in terms of, okay, yeah, well, we've got to expect volatility. We've got to expect a big jump. We've got to expect different scenarios. But yeah, that was just sort of our thinking, man. We just kind of wanted to do it a little bit different. We didn't want to be super rigid. Did it work out for the best? Maybe not. Good. And that was the thinking that went into it.
But I mean, respect. And I am all for experimentation, doing things differently, trying new things on chain. And so I'm not critiquing the new experimentation at all. I do think that, in my opinion, I think
could I critique it for a second, Captain? Because I'll give a critique.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me hand you the mic next. I'm just going to say,
sure.
In my opinion, I think the 99% tax does work. I do think it's mostly snipers that could a few, especially if it's a trader or someone that understands it's a 99% tax. They're probably not getting hurt too much on there. I think it actually is benefiting them better. Just my opinion, and I think the 99% tax kind of, I think it does work. I think in seeing what we saw, I think if I'm looking at the next one, I'd prefer 99 over 33 because the snipers are still going to snipe. And if it's 33, they're just getting taxed. It's not like, did 1 million come out of the trenches? Maybe. I think a lot of these snipers are professional organizations and this is the game that they play.
Yeah, that's true.
So I look at it as it wasn't $1 million came out of the trenches. It was $1 million that came out of sophisticated actors' wallets who have been rinsing the trenches for the last years.
That's a great way to frame it too, Cap. Just to be clear though, that was our thinking, right? So
no, totally fair. And I'm not critiquing doing something differently, experimenting. I think I want to see more of that. I just, now having seen it, if second, third, fourth mover advantage, I think the next launch on the safe launcher, on the leveraging this snipe tax, maybe you try something in between. Maybe you go for 70%, or if I had to choose between 33 and 99, I think 99 works better in my opinion because of, again, it's almost like a reallocation from the sophisticated actors who are out there rinsing the trenches into the traders, the ecosystem, et cetera, and maybe mitigating some of that. It's also so new that who knows? Like the result might have been exactly the same at 99%. We really don't know. We can just speculate. But the one thing that we do know, because we can not only have the ability to trust the team, what they're saying, we can also check the chain. It wasn't the team's wallets that unless they've been out there sniping and doing this for months. I don't think that'd be the case. But an idiot, go ahead. Feel free to fire your critique in a respectful manner.
Yeah, certainly. Look, I just think as far as experiments go, like the experiment would have been the 99% degrading down per minute. We haven't had a really big hype token do that yet. 33% tax is just an obvious buy. I mean, we were all, I mean, it's not like this was just my opinion. There was a group of us and we're all like, as soon as it hits, click buttons fast, you know? I mean, so I don't know. And look, there was a whole however many seconds while that was counting down where you could buy at the 99%, right? I just don't think a lot of people realized that that was going to be the only opportunity. And I was, in hindsight, I was stupid to wait. I should have clicked buttons to 99%, to be honest, because nobody was buying yet. I think it was still at, what was it, like 27K market cap or something until, but then, you know, I mean, it just insta-bonded. People had, you know. So anyway, that would, yeah, my critique would be that the experiment would have been to use the new tech and the degrading platform, the degrading tax as it, I mean, that is the experiment. 33% tax is just a tax. Anybody that's looking to throw a lot of money into a coin super early is just, I mean, that's an obvious buy, in my opinion.
Would agree, bro. In hindsight, would agree. And just to kind of give the Clutch team a little bit of flowers here, they were pushing for more as well too, right? So, you know, yeah, we tried it. We wanted to appeal to all traders. That was kind of the idea. But yeah, I mean, look, we were experimenting, right?
Yeah, and you know what?
I gotta say real quick, because I know
we're experimenting. Are you gonna still continue to run the token though, right?
Yeah, he is. He's
Brother, we're just getting started, bro.
City, I just want to say real quick, dude, because I have been giving you a hard time up here. I did buy. I am going to hold. It is a great meme, and the fact that you guys are going to stick around gives me confidence that it's going to do well going forward. We're just being up here being honest with each other.
I need to hear it. I need to hear it, and I'm going to be here listening to it as much as I can. And this is really constructive feedback as well too. And it also gives me the opportunity to pull back the curtain on intentions as well too, right? So let's build something special together. You know, we're here to listen. We're here to build. I mean, we're under contract for using that ticker as well too. We're not going anywhere. You know, I do have one other quick thing to add here too as well too about. Now, I thought I should be clear, because when I was rolling out of bed and hearing about these 7 wallets, I did hear a little bit about the 7 wallets last night as well too. I thought it was like 60 ETH, and I was about to say, what team in their right mind, with the amount of hype that we had, would sort of just throw that away and not continue to build that, you know, that floor up for 60 ETH. But now I'm hearing it was like 200 or something like that. So I don't know, I guess I can walk that back. But either way, look, I appreciate the feedback. There's there's so much fun stuff coming. You know what I mean? So feedback's great. I'm going to be here. I'm always around. DMs are always open. I mean, obviously, just anybody who's out there, just be patient with me right now. But I work my way through the DMs, and this feedback is great, man.
You, not to pry, but I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't at least attempt. You said so much to come, working on some exciting stuff. Is there anything you can share there that is coming? Anything, even a tease of directionally speaking, what might be next with the token?
Yeah, well, I mean, look, we had high hopes coming out of the gate, right? So listings, I mean, exchanges were really, really high priority for us right now. But I think today the team needs to kind of regroup, reset, look at what's going on, listen to the community, see what's going on, and then now set some new parameters, right? Transparency is going to be first and foremost, and then we're going to kind of go from there. But I mean, zooming out from that, I mean, listings were what we wanted, right? But right now we've got to put one foot in front of the other and look at what went on last night. How can we build off of this? How can we drive the most value that we can to the community, to the ecosystem? And I mean, only up.
Only up and up only. I see up continues to do some solid numbers and pretty active. The team out there grinding. Tyler, I saw you jumped up. I don't see a hand on my end, but did you have a question for All City or anything? Any comments, questions you want to get in here before we send everyone out of here today? No. You know, I've seen it before, but it just hit me the shirt that Tyler's StonkBrokers wearing. It's like giving me Biggie vibes. I don't know if that was the intent or not, but I see the rainbow sweater and I think of Biggie. I'm believe it or not, I'm not in StonkBrokers for the art. I don't mean to offend a Simple Farmer or the artist there, but I'm not in it for the art. I will not be going and attempting to acquire my forever StonkBroker because of the art. But if I were, I would be going for the Biggie sweater. Machiavelli, did we miss anything? I assume you were a trader once again this morning and cheated on us.
No, man. I think there's a lot of other exciting things happening today on the other side. Also, Grateful Space and stuff like that. But other than that, man, ecosystem cooking. Please go to othersidecalendar.achain.com to find out everything else that's happening.
Good stuff. No announcements or anything in the other room. No. Good stuff. Hey, good show again today. Tomorrow's a Friday. We got Coffee with Captain. We're still hunting down JP Vamos. This is the 21-hour warning. If JP Vamos doesn't show himself or herself within the next 24 hours, we will be picking a runner. The runner-up wins July Coffee with Captain Community Member of the Month. If you weren't around, we did a World Cup bracket challenge. JP Vamos won it, but we don't have a user. We don't have a handle, and we need to track this person down so they can redeem their. It's a $250 claw pull on Beezy, which could lead to you could hit a grail, four-figure grail. But we'll be back tomorrow for Coffee with Captain. We've got today a Doma on air at 2 p.m. Eastern time. We'll be live from the Doma account. I've really enjoyed hosting those shows. And actually, one more question for All City, if you don't mind. Shocker Mandan says, I think what people need to know is if there's any chance of moving forward is how did these wallets get so much supply? Did the safe launcher fail or did you pick bad parameters? If the CA wasn't made public until more than 5 minutes after launch, why? I think as far as like the first question, I can answer that. How the wallets got so much supply was they just sniped. They paid the snipe tax. The safe launcher didn't fail, although the parameters went from 99% tax to 33% tax. I understand the logic. Understand there's some experimentation. At the end of the day, the sniper still sniped, and they just got a 66% discount on the tax. Or that's probably not right math. They got the tax they paid was 66% less than the 99. So I guess then the question, if the contract wasn't made public until more than 5 minutes after launch, why? Are you able to answer that?
Was that related to the tweet?
I don't know.
I'm not really sure.
I was deep in sleep last night when
like on the initial launch tweet, we had the link to the Stonk launcher, which went straight to the page or whatever. And like for like 2 minutes, there was like the CA and it was like empty. And my buddy's like, "Oh shit!" So he edited the tweet really quick. But I mean, you could still just click the launcher to buy. So I'm not really sure if that's what it's referencing.
Yeah, it was live immediely on the
broker.
So I mean, and it showed that whether you could see it in the StonkBroker platform or you could see it on chain. All any snipes. I mean, all this kind of stuff is going to be either Telegram bot or something in a terminal where it's just going to have all that info immediately.
Right. One quick other thing, because I just seen that I got pinged here. Shout out everybody's bro, Proof of Alpha Degen, because I do have to give him a little bit of flowers. The term theme coin definitely came up in a group chat when we were talking about clock in with Proof of Alpha Degen. He said, "You know what, guys? This is a theme coin. This isn't just a meme. This is a theme coin," and it just made so much sense. So shout out to our boy. He's out there every day doing a lot of good stuff for the ecosystem. So, but yeah, Cap, I really appreciate the platform, man. I'm always around. DMs are always open. Obviously, we're going to do a lot of unpacking today, but peeps, we're not going anywhere. We're here to build. It's a fantastic project. All that hype, all that cool stuff, all that cool content, all that cool energy, those feelings that we were able to give you pre-launch. It's going to keep coming with different stuff. And just give us a little bit of a benefit of the doubt. Intentions are always good here. I'm always here. And yeah, I appreciate the platform.
Awesome. No, appreciate you. Thanks for the time today. Appreciate you joining us impromptu and taking the feedback and a little bit of FUD head on. You're not if you're not getting any FUD in crypto and Web3, you're probably not moving enough. But last bit of piece of news before we let everyone get out of here today. Markets just absolutely cooked yesterday. All-time high for Hyperliquid, God candles on Bitcoin, ETH, and many more. And then not to be lost in the big day, Doodles also dropped their toy factory. I'm curious if anyone got any. I think I saw like 129 maybe to make a custom toy. Kind of in line with what I was expecting. I'm not in the market for $129 4-inch vinyl, but cool tech. Be curious if it's fun. I think fun thing for the community. I'm curious. We'll probably not see numbers, but I would be very curious what sort of pull through, what sort of numbers they do, what the market is outside of the crypto natives for custom toys at that price. And I'm assuming they're high quality. I don't know. I don't know the toy market well enough, the premium toy market well enough, or vinyl market well enough to have an idea of what that will do for the business at large. I am curious for anyone there. Is there perks for holders at all? Do Doodles get like discounted toys, or is it the same? Is it 129 for all, or is there different pricing? Doodles.toys is the website, but I was on the move yesterday and haven't. I didn't see like an FAQ or frequently asked. I haven't went through the process to make my own, so I wasn't sure of pricing or anything like that. But yeah, maybe someone in the audience will get one and we'll have a chance to talk through it. But I've seen some design or some images online on the timeline, and okay, so you can make it without buying. Okay, cool. So Zombie Rob said he made one. Not sure if he's going to buy it though. Zombie Rob, what was it 129 for you? I think that was the only price I saw was 129. I didn't know if it's the same price for all or if there's different options. I'm just curious, but yeah, cool. Nice little. Also, by the way, Shocker Man Dan, he did reply. So bad parameters. Experimentation, he gives me a little credit, was better choice of words than his. Declining from 99 to 33 quickly instead of slow decay was a bad parameter. In retrospect, hindsight is 2020. Not judging necessarily important for future launcher knowledge. I saw tweets people saying it wasn't made public. I was asleep and woke up to tweets saying it was. That's why I included it. Yeah, I was also deep asleep, and I also there's some multiverse where 33% ended up being the right answer. Like. I would be hypocritical if I'm applauding experimentation and challenging teams and founders to do things differently and not just the same old copy pasta, and then FUD or critique someone who did just that. It's easy, very, very easy for us to Thursday morning quarterback here, and we have hindsight is 2020. But if the thing cooks last night, 33% might have been the answer. Now we know, and not saying 99% right, but I think probably maybe next one experiments at 99% or somewhere between 99 and 33. But I appreciate the experimentation. Shout out to Proof Affidegen as well for the theme coin. I do think that was pretty quality, and I hope I'd like to see a little more of it. I'd like to see where other cases, like I get brand coin. I've been a fan of Rect, by the way, Mints Friday, GG's to all the allow listers. But so while I am a fan of the brand coin, I think there could be an opportunity for a theme coin in this space. Like, because not all meme coins are the same, just like all NFTs aren't the same, just like all fungible tokens aren't the same. And being a little more descriptive of like, what is this thing? It's not utility, but yet it's not just a pure meme. I'm looking forward to that experiment that is the theme coin as well, and rooting for some new innovative stuff to come out of this. Ken, go ahead, get in here. We'll final hand, and then we will send everyone on to the rest of their Thursday.
Yeah, I'll try to be really brief as brief as possible. One thing I would say is, if you see how Simple Farmer has sort of approached this, it's been less talk, more delivery, right? So even from the mint, there was not a lot of hoopla. It was just sort of like, come along with me, like, I'm doing certain things. And I think the one thing I would say, I mean, I loved all the like stuff on the timeline with the drop and the videos, but I think over telegraphing what you're trying to do and kind of getting a lot of attention, it always almost always leads to tears. And I think the reverse is a lot better, where same thing with NFTs, right? Free mints are better than mints that cost you X and everything goes down, right? And so I think one just word of advice is, I think Simple Farmer has in particular been very deliberate about keeping things close to the chest, not necessarily, even in the Discord, like he's pretty mum about when things drop, about details, because it's more about getting the work done and letting the work show itself. And so I would say that you run into a lot less risk if you're a lot more quiet about your intentions and you actually release something and just kind of, then you can kind of build up and talk about what it is. But I think oftentimes you attract the sort of wrong crowd if you overhype something, and someone's always going to cry about it.
Yeah, well said. Also, I saw a post from Poison, who I'm actually replying to right now, and I'll share it on the to the audience as I before I can hit send. It says, I see a lot of people support these big founders projects. What about they turn around and support less known projects that are building great things? If you want the industry to grow, put some of your profit back in and not just into things from a heads up look around you. I agree. I would like to support up and comers and innovators and those doing new things and delivering new primitives on chain and helping push the space forward. That said, I think StonkBrokers and Simple Farmer is actually a great, if not the best, example of what you're looking for. Got built for years, shipped a bunch of new primitives, bunch of new tech, was the first to introduce on-chain prediction market parlays, which is a big deal. I thought it was awesome. Didn't take off and capture, and then eventually the big players, launch native ways to parlay your prediction markets. But Anvil was around before StonkBrokers, never got the attention until StonkBrokers. I think it's a great example of what you're looking for. My advice, Poison, would be don't be like, I don't know the word, jealous or envious of someone else getting attention. Like, deserve it of attention right now. It's exactly what you want to see. This should be inspirational to the builders here who have been building and not got the credit. Like, it's different art isn't enough. Like, unless it's something insane, like even that's going to be tough. Like, it really is something of value, something that people want to participate in, something that it's going to introduce some new technology, some new primitive, something like that on chain. And then when it happens, they should get attention. They should be supported. And that should be, hopefully is inspirational for those that haven't got that yet. That, here's an example of someone who built for years, probably felt similar to how you're feeling. I'm guessing, I don't know. He's not said this. He just kept shipping until he caught that lightning in a bottle. But it's like being upset because something that is, the top generating app in terms of revenue on Robinhood chain and captured the attention of the space and has become an ecosystem and a launch pad for so many other builders, that it should get to the attention. And it's stuff people are wanting to talk about. There's a constant experimentation taking place. There's a lot of new stuff, and that does deserve attention. I think there's so on one end, I don't know if Poison had opportunity to get in StonkBroker or not. I'm not saying that, but I do think there's some of that the inevitably builders who have been here and they've done what they think they're doing everything right. Distribution matters, marketing matters, but I would be doing our audience, an injustice if we came on here today and spent the last 2.5 hours talking about, I don't know, your project or another project that hasn't minted out yet, or it's another NFT collection that's the same as everything else that came over the last 5 years except the arts. I'm not saying that's the case for you, but I do think it's got to be newsworthy. It's not fair to the builders who have shipped innovative things that have captured volume, that have captured mind share, that have captured market share, for them not to be talked about because, we've already talked about them. Talk about my project. It just doesn't work like that. So I think there's a lot of emotion in this StonkBroker ecosystem, probably more for those that aren't in the ecosystem than the holders. I've seen actually a lot of takes and people projecting on like what holders are thinking and doing math for them. And I don't know, I'll speak for myself. Like it's your read on me and how I feel about the ecosystem is wrong. It's not accurate. But I think because not what I said earlier, so many people had the opportunity to mint and missed it for whatever reason, or they missed a DM from Simple Farmer. It's like compounding the miss this time. I need to think through this. I was wordsmithing it this morning. I need to put a little more thought to it, but I understand, and I'm not blaming you. I'd feel bad too if I missed. I almost did. I fell asleep and was lucky that I still could mint a couple the next morning when I woke up. But I can't remember who said it earlier. The take on, maybe it was a Ken or an idiot, about the like, you need distribution, you need marketing, you need enough hype to have launch momentum going into launch. But there's also some, and sometimes this isn't the project, the team's fault at all. I think another one that I'm like super excited for them, Unvault. I'm also genuinely concerned because the hype has gotten so much. Like I'm sure they'd much rather be going into their mint with, by the way, they're doing debugs as like a test mint. That just came out. I'll verify. We'll get some more details, talk about that tomorrow. But it went from like, they'd have a space where maybe 12, 20 people be in there to now it's like 5,000 people, 4,000 people. It's both have their challenges, right? I'd rather have the challenge where we've got too much hype than no hype and we're DOA. But there is something to be said to, and I can't remember if it was a Ken or an idiot, but something you said to kind of like threading that needle of creating some hype and excitement and buzz. But once you've got it, it's like go time, because as more time goes on, it's not the team's fault, because often it's the community, it's crypto Twitter, it's like expectations that they create. And I'm rooting for Unvault. They're a great sponsor, they're a great partner. My concern isn't about their tech. I think it's awesome. I love what they're doing for the space. The fact that this omni-chain approach, protecting royalties, bringing royalty, it's all awesome. But my concern is a lot of the hype is going to be around not the tech, not what they're actually building, not what their actual plans are. But I think a lot of the hype is unfortunately going to go to, this is a free mint that I can flip for multiple ETH. I'm not saying that's going to be the case, but I think some people are having that expectation now that this is a free mint that's super hyped, and so I want it so I can sell it for more money than I mint it for, because I'm minting it for free. And there's nothing wrong with that. Take your gains, take your profits. It's hype pre-mint can create its own challenges that I think everyone's like, oh, I'd love to have 5,000 people in a space and an over-allocated allow list. Careful what you wish for, because it brings on its own challenges itself, and it'll get through it. It'll be fine. But it's just, I do think there's a lot of emotion in the space right now. And I share that just because don't let other people's emotions change your plans, change your strategy. Don't let it force you to sell. Don't let it force you to buy something. I mean, we can say, do your own research all we want and not financial advice, but certainly don't be taking financial advice from people that don't have what you want. Don't be taking financial advice from people who are just mad because they're sidelined. Maybe they're right. But if there was ETH bears that were right as well for a while until yesterday. And then I saw one of them got liquidated for $100 million. Like if you're a bear 365 days out of the year, you're going to be right, probably more often than you're wrong. I rarely bet unders, and I don't like shorts, but that's just me. I can't go back. But last comment, I promise, and then we are shutting things down. I can't go ahead.
Yeah, I think for the last comment, or the last speaker, so this is what I would say. You need to have a reputation, and there needs to be a proof of work. And I think when you look at Simple Farmer, strong reputation across a lot of the work he had done, which got him a following, right? And with the delivery, there's a proof of work. Things have been delivered. And I think what people often kind of get the wrong way is they want to hype it up first before they show their hand. And I think that's actually a mistake. I think you're much better off, and I'm kind of referring to what I said before, and there are examples of this. You can look at Jack Butcher, for example, in the NFT space, open editions, free mints, right? Build a community, get people to sort of align with what you're thinking about. And then all of a sudden, it's like, okay, you have followers who believe in what you're doing, who are buying into your assets, and who are doing well, even those who sold at varying points. Like, no one's going to say a bad word about getting a free NFT, and right. And I mean, if you bought a top, that's your responsibility. And so I think what people often miss is also a lot of the work that goes into it that no one ever sees. You know, a decade worth of experience at Jack Butcher Bark in space, you know, years of experience at Simple Farmer, like, they probably got unrewarded, right? And all of a sudden, it seems like an overnight success. I think what people often miss is they think it's not easy to just show up and replicate what someone has done over, you know, a decade or half a career. And I think that's just a mistake. I think what people need to do is follow these people, understand what they're doing, spend the time to educate yourself. Like, half the people that are complaining on the timeline, I don't see in the Discord. I'm in the Discord like 4 or 5 hours a day, not because I don't have better things to do, because I value what I'm learning. I value the community, right? You're contributing your time and your effort into it. And so for me, a lot of it is just sort of like, people want something for nothing, or people don't want to put in the work. And those who put the work and start getting the rewards get resented for, right? I mean, there's a huge opportunity cost. Simple Farmer could probably have gotten a corporate job, you know, done very, very well for himself. There's a massive opportunity cost coming to this space, grinding for years, learning your craft, till you sort of deliver something. And I think that's not trivial. And people need to respect that. Like, people need to sort of, you know, give respect where it's due and not complain that someone is getting attention and they're not. Well, show me your proof of work. Show me a reason why you should garner my attention. Show me innovation. Show me something that says, okay, this is different, this is unique, this is interesting. And if you can't do that, you're just not going to get the attention. And that's just the bottom line. Thanks.
Yeah. Well said. It's like it or not, attention matters, both good and bad sometimes. Jay says if StonkBrokers launches something doesn't tell anyone, people would lose their minds and cry more. Maybe. It's also like, it's also independent teams. Like, it's both the beauty and the downside of decentralized permissionless environments is you can give recommendations, you can say things, but at the end of the day, it's independent teams are going to do stuff. Before I let you out of here, we are gonna wind down. I do have to share that we still got it. And I did just for full transparency, so I could have it in my wallet for tracking purposes and to go, you know, keep eyes on it. It's just easier for me. I bought like 10 or 20 bucks earlier. So I'm not dumping it. I'm not trying to flip $10 on your head, I promise. But we still got it. The Coffee with Captain Pump is alive and well. It's up 14, 15% in the last hour since we've been talking about it. So there you go. The Coffee with Captain Pump, where I am, I guess I'm not sidelined because I think there is some StonkBroker perks, but good stuff. I'm excited to see what comes next for the theme coin. I'm excited to see more so personally what the next experiment. Do we see someone attempt to do an anti-snipe tax between 33 and 99%, or does it just go back to 99? And oh, by the way, we got the full launch pad coming soon. Super stoked for that. But we will be back tomorrow at 8 a.m. Eastern time, like always, here on X Audio, X Video, YouTube, and Abstract. Appreciate y'all this morning. Great show. Appreciate the attention and comments in the chat. Appreciate all the questions, as well as those who joined us on stage and did, in some cases, disagree without being disagreeable. Respectful, professional conversation, and I appreciate that very much. And you're also all entitled to your own feelings and opinions. I'm not telling someone how to feel or not to feel. If you're feel a certain way, that's fine. Just know that if check the chain. If someone's saying something and fighting something, you too have the ability to go and you may not understand it as well as Drew Security or other blockchain sleuths, but the basics are pretty easy. Even if you don't know the Block Explorer or Etherscan or whatever the Robinhood scan is, like if we're talking NFTs, you can check their OpenSea profile. You can see why they might be so disgruntled or upset. And 18.83% now that Coffee with Captain Pump. Just saying. Anyways, we'll be back tomorrow. Please please don't take any of this out of context. I'm just having fun. It's all part of the bit. But big thank you to Hans for the generous Pingu tip over there in Abstract. As I said in the Abstract chat, 500 Pingu today is better than 500 Pingu yesterday because number go up. We like number going up. All that said, have a great Thursday. Join us at 2 p.m. Eastern for Doma on Air. I almost called it the Builder's Domain. That's on this show. Doma on Air at 2 p.m. Eastern. Shorter show today, but another great OG domainer. And we'll be back tomorrow at 8 a.m. Eastern time. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, everyone.